I've got no idea what my tags are. I don't even know if I did.
The word favourite, it's got a U in it, hasn't it? It keeps because it keeps like Americanizing it and spelling.
I've got no idea.
I'm sure I hate when it does that. I'll just give it a right. I swear I can't spell these days. Yeah, it does. See, I spell it right.
I don't know if I did any tags, last time.
If you don't know what you're doing, George.
No, I didn't. I didn't add any tags. You got any tags? Send me some tags.
I've not written mine in yet.
Well, once you've done yours, send them to me.
I'm only going to put like a basic, like 4 or 5 tags in. I'm not going to put many tags. George, you didn't even crop the sides of the thumb. Now, man, I got this black border on the
No,
edge.
the black border's there. I put that in specifically because without it, it would have stretched and it would have looked weird as heck.
Have a look, see if we've got any comments, George, whilst I sell. Okay, so entertainment, yes. Tags. Karate Kid. The Karate Kid. Podcast. Podcast. Edwards.
Will you send me them for Discord while I quickly try and not explode my... you've got people chatting in your chat. Ethan and Thomas.
Let me see if I can copy them. Guys, we won't be answering many comments as usual on the Shedcast because it goes up as a normal video, but we can answer a couple
Hey Jonathan,
right
how you
now
doing, man?
whilst we sell.
I don't know if you can hear me, but you probably can.
Hey everyone, hey Ethan, hey Jonathan, hey everyone. Yeah, can you hear George? Is a good question. I feel like we should be more prepared. We should start the video with everything done, but you know what I mean, George.
We try, and then
So
there's
you
always
played
ended
this
good.
entire time. Where have you gone?
Oh, that was you. You did that,
What?
didn't
Did I?
we? Yeah.
Oh, now it's gone to your loading screen.
Yeah, I've switched to
Hey
play
Ethan. Hey Thomas. Hey Fritz. Hey everyone. Don't forget to like the stream, guys. Another Shedcast. If you've not watched these before, then we basically just talk about movies, or it depends what the theme of the podcast is. Today we're looking at the Karate Kid, one of my favourite movie franchises of all time.
Did you send me them tags?
I hope you enjoy it. If you've not watched the others, go back and watch them. Yeah, I have. But you're on the background thing.
Yeah, I know. I've done it on purpose.
So,
I'm doing good, Jonathan. I'm doing good.
I've got a lot of notes today, so I'll be reading from these.
See, what you've done is you've now messed with your video.
Looks fine now. The only problem is this bit. Like that before. I'm gonna stretch your face again.
Oh, please
Good.
don't.
So professional. So I've got the synopsis wrote down, like the plot, which we can start with.
Oh my god, my computer cannot handle this.
Have you got each scene written? No.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah.
You ready?
I don't have any tags, but sure. I can do that.
I might read this. You don't have any tags, but you're ready.
Yeah, I'm already live. Got no tags. It's all good. Hey,
Okay,
Jonathan.
guys. So if you're like a little bit like Elon Musk, everyone tells me this all the time. But you know, he's the richest man in the world, so I'll take that as a compliment. Who does George look like?
What? I don't know. I look like some sort of demon on yours. What have you done with my video, man? You've done something to it, and now I look weird as. I'm doing good, Jonathan. I'm doing good.
It's Russell something. Is that guy's name? Plays Arthur.
Oh, Russell. Yeah, Russell Kane. Nope.
It's not Russell Kane, George. I mean, the second one.
Yeah, that's
the
what,
newer version.
yeah, I know what you mean. I can't remember his name either. Russell something. Who knows?
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand. That's him.
I see you got the bandana on, George. I was supposed to get a Karate Kid bandana with a DVD I bought, and I didn't get one. I was so annoyed about that. Okay, guys, so this is one of my favourite movie franchises of all time, so I'm very excited about this one today, as George was last week about Indiana Jones, because that was kind of like George's favourite film in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And all he backed on about is the brilliant special effects for about.
Okay, before we go on to the special effects, there are no special effects in this film. I looked, there were none. There was a special effects guy.
In this kind of movie, it makes sense.
Well, I was expecting it to maybe be wire work or something, and if there's wire work, you need to edit out the wires, but I couldn't.
I couldn't. Miyagi, and then all the other actors were trained in karate, so it makes sense. You know, I wouldn't want there to be massive special effects in this film.
No, but what I was looking at, maybe they did wire work because there's the crane move it near the end, right? And I figured maybe they held that for longer than they could to get the footage of it, but it looks like they just slowed the footage down instead. There's no special effects, and if there is, it's mainly for like painting people out of scenes, maybe, and that's it.
It's not that kind of movie, though, is it? So, The Karate Kid is about a kid named Daniel who moves city.
Daniel-san?
With his mother. And he's Daniel-san. And he's being beat up by bullies, so he learns karate, and then he finds out there's an Okinawan karate master living next door who teaches him karate, you know. And then he wins the tournament and beats the bullies, basically. It's a feel-good film. But a lot of people have touched upon this, haven't they? And it spawned the Cobra Kai, because a lot of people are saying over on YouTube, he made some viral videos about saying that Daniel was actually the bully because he stole Johnny Lawrence's girlfriend.
But he didn't.
Which is quite interesting.
Didn't, because specifically mentioned that they had been broken up for a couple of weeks before he even rocks up. Right at the start of the film, they specifically mention, like, didn't they break up? She did, but he didn't. So he's... Blondie is hanging on to Ali.
Yeah, it's hard to see Daniel as the bad guy because this movie is made to make him look like the good guy, and they twist it. But
that's the problem with.
You tend to see both sides.
Yeah, exactly. It's a problem with.
Which I'm a massive fan of.
Yeah, it's a directional insight, right? So you can, as a director, you can be like, oh, we're going to portray the bad guy as the good guy. Like that is an easy thing to do as a director, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose it depends on, like, everyone's got their own view on life. So it kind of mimics life in the fact that you're there, everybody else has their own view on what's happening in real life. And that is shown in
There's two sides
Cobra Kai. Yeah, exactly.
In the latest Cobra Kai as well, to discuss Ali's side of the story.
I haven't seen the new series yet.
Interesting. We won't get onto Cobra Kai because we talk about Karate Kid specifically. But let's start by talking about the plot then, George. So what happens? Like, let's go scene
by scene.
First,
it's not exactly scene by scene, but it is like chapters. They leave New Jersey.
Starts off where you see the car. Yeah, you see the car and he's pushing it because he's got this tapped out car. You know, it doesn't even work, barely work. They're sold this promise of New York. I put down as New York. I can't remember if that's where it actually is. I don't know where they actually moved to. So Newark, New Jersey, Los Angeles.
No, New Jersey's where they left.
Oh yeah, they moved from there to.
They moved from Newark to LA. Yeah. Is it LA? I put New York, but I don't know. But they're promised with.
And as they're moving into the place, George, you know that old woman sitting in the chair who says hello to. She actually plays Happy Gilmore's grandmother. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Interesting fact there.
I mean, I liked that they portray it. They're like giving this look of, oh, it's going to be better. We're moving on from here to a better place, and it's just an absolute garbage place to live. Like the car breaks down on the way.
It's not a very nice accommodation, is it? You know, no. It's very
nothing works. Poor. It looks like it's falling apart. Like the pool that they're promised is green and empty.
Place where they live. Many of the locations in this film haven't changed.
Yeah.
So in the new series Cobra Kai, they use the same building, but this time Johnny's living there.
Yeah, exactly.
And all the buildings look the same, which is really weird. Because you think Los Angeles is a developing city and they would change the buildings and obviously remodel stuff, but they've left that building exactly the same.
Well, not even that. It's not that they've left it the same. I think whether they've done set design to it, but I'm assuming like they've made it look worse than it actually is in real life. You know, which is set design, which is what our friends did. Some of our friends went on to do. I know the Jester set design, doesn't she? She wanted to. I don't know if she ever actually got into it.
No, I think they used in as part of like what do you call it now, like film tours, because people go and revisit that location because it's a famous spot. So I think that's why they kept it as it is.
Makes sense. It is like a famous
like,
point.
Yeah. So Daniel moves to Reseda, and he's obviously having troubles. So it's not that good for him because he's lost all his friends. He's living in a crappy apartment. You know, he's trying to make friends, and then he gets into an argument on the beach, doesn't he, with Johnny, and starts chatting to Ali Mills. You know, they're playing football, they're having a kick about.
Well, you've missed the entire point where he kicks the door into the poor guy's face. Like, he's not there when, like, so on the one that I saw, like, you can see him walk past the gate in the...
Kicks the door into the guy's face.
Did you not notice? So as he's pushing the bike in, he kicks the door, it smacks, put his name was Freddy, because I think that's what he called him. Hits him in the face, and that is the first meeting he has with this guy.
Probably the only thing you wrote there.
Well, and then it goes on to like, the house is falling apart.
Yeah, we haven't really discussed Mr. Miyagi. We
haven't met him
Mr.
yet.
Miyagi.
We only meet him after
the maintenance.
After like the tap like explodes. So you don't like.
Yeah, the tap explodes. He's practicing karate on the TV, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts to get bullied, doesn't he?
Yes.
On the beach. But the thing is, he sticks up for Ali, thinking he's like got all these karate skills because he's been learning karate some other place
from a book.
And then he realizes that like the person's girlfriend that he's chatting to, you know, he throws his radio, someone runs over the radio, so he's like, oh, I'll stick up for her. And the person he ends up like encountering, Johnny, turns out to be like a karate freaking master, like a black belt who's won like 10 tournaments or something.
Before we get into like the rest of this, I just want to ask you, why do you like this film so much?
I think it's because it's a feel-good film. You know, it's about beating the bullies and perseverance and stuff. Because he starts out and he can't fight and stuff, and even in the end of the film, like when he almost breaks his arm or damages his it's his leg, isn't it?
His leg and it's his ribs. Yeah,
can barely fight. Like he still goes on, finishes the fight, and it's not about winning. You know, it's just about proving it to himself.
Yeah,
and like Mr. Miyagi says, he's like, you know, do it for yourself. Don't do it to win. Because if you back down from this, you're never going to accomplish anything. And I also like the fact that like Mr. Miyagi is like, he's like the perfect hero in a sense, isn't he? Like, he's like the perfect trainer, and then Daniel's like the apprentice.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. I like how you see the characters develop throughout the film. And it's a cult classic. Like, I've watched that 100 times, and it doesn't get old for me. And like, it builds towards the end, you know, the music and stuff. Yeah. Like that ending is just like, you will sit there and watch the whole film just for that cool ass ending, man. When the music comes on, it just stinks so well. Like, you know, that score, that music was actually wrote for a different film.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it ended up in this one.
It fits it perfectly.
It's basically immortalized.
Yeah, it fits it perfectly as well.
The best around.
Yeah, it's a great song as well. So he's at the beach.
Did we also mention that this film was made by the same people who made Rocky, the same director, and Rocky is also another one of my favourite franchises.
It's probably
and
why
it has a lot of parallels with Rocky.
Yeah, I think that's probably why you like it so much, because it is.
Actually, it's marked this film a lot, saying that it basically ripped off Rocky, Rocky story in a way.
Well, I mean, it is. It's just a kids' version, right? And before we talk about like the film in general, I just want to quickly mention the referees at the end. It's aimed at like young adults, right? So it's teenagers and stuff. The referees in this are the worst referees I've ever seen in any sort of sports tournament.
Say that, George. That's funny you say that because that guy is an actual referee. Like I've got it in one of my facts. I think he's actually a real referee.
They were the worst referees, man. They dumbed it down so much for that.
I discussed that in the Cobra Kai series as well about that point. It's supposed to be a legal move, but it was actually I think just before that tournament or around that time, it was like established as a legal move, so you could actually do it. No. Thanks, Fritz. Sorry, we're not reading the chat, guys. We just want this to be like a
standalone kind of.
Just me and George talking because we don't want to be saying, "Oh, hey, Optimal Ducky," and then someone's watching it back like, "What the frick is this guy talking about?"
The hell's a duck?
But what do you think of the film, George? Because I know this isn't like. It's not your favourite films, but you just gave it another watch, so what would you think about it now?
I still prefer the new one. And the only reason I prefer the new one is because it's Jackie Chan.
The new one, Cobra Kai?
No. Jackie Chan and...
the Jackie Chan one?
Yeah.
The thing is, I like that one too.
I really like...
That one's also like a good film for me, like I will go and watch it. Because in 2010 when that released, or 2009, like that was my birthday, and that was the movie that I watched on my birthday. And I was already a huge Karate Kid fan. And obviously, you got Jackie Chan, you got Jaden Smith. Yeah. It's a real shame they didn't make another one.
Especially with Jaden Smith. Him as an actor, that was like his first real acting job, right, was that film. Because I'd never seen him in anything.
There was another one, wasn't there, with his dad? Was it After Earth? But it was really poorly rated.
Oh yeah, that was awful. It was interesting.
Jaden Smith as an actor works better when he's acting on his own, not with in the shadow of his dad, because he's made a couple of Netflix series and a couple of other films, and they're really good.
Yeah.
When he does stuff with his dad, it's like
he outshines. He outshines him, doesn't he? Because it is Will Smith. You cannot tell Will Smith to
Yeah, you cannot you know, Will Smith's one of them actors that when he's on screen, you just want to look at Will Smith. So having Jaden there,
he commands the stage.
But I do like that too. But if you think about it, we wouldn't have this if we wouldn't have that new version if we didn't have this.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, I don't hate this film. I do enjoy this film, but I don't think I like it as much as you do. I mean,
in a way, I'm kind of glad that they make a second one, because then Cobra Kai wouldn't have happened, and that's number one. How many countries? It's such a good show.
Yeah.
And the reason that works is because they're linking it to these films, and they're doing it for the fans, just like Star Wars Mandalorian has done with Luke, and they're bringing Luke back.
I mean, before we do, can we just have a quick side story on that? That is one of the worst bits of special effects I've ever seen.
I think that's good.
I mean, compared to
it really looks like Luke Skywalker.
It does, but it's hampered by the fact that it's a TV show. If it wasn't a TV show, they could have spent so much time on that and made it look more lifelike and less fake. He doesn't move it.
I think that was really good.
Oh yeah, no, I'm so happy about it happening.
The reason for that is because it wasn't overdone. He only said a couple of lines.
That's why it works well, because it is just that
CGI, and then leave them for 20 minutes or whatever. That's not good.
Especially with the Carrie Smith thing, you could sort of tell that they weren't real because their lips don't quite move right. Like their top lip doesn't move, so it's like, "Hello there, I am Princess Leia." Yeah. But so the way they do those, I'm taking it a little bit off script here, is that they have a 3D scan.
We should probably move back on to the correct.
So they did a deep fake. They did a deep fake of Star Wars. That's all you have to know. It wasn't CG or anything. It was a deep fake. Okay, let's go.
So let's get back to the plot. So we're on the beach.
We're on the beach.
So Daniel gets beat up, doesn't he?
Yes.
And he gets beat up a couple of
absolutely
times. Absolutely smashed. By John. They've really made Johnny look like a right dick in this film.
Yeah, but it's never him. It's never Johnny until he gets
being controlled by Kreese, isn't it? Really, because when you go to the dojo and you see Kreese interacting with these guys, he's teaching them these methods of karate that
are military based. They're military based karate.
Yeah, he was actually in the military, wasn't he? And again, in the new series Cobra Kai, you can see his military flashbacks.
Yeah,
and he was taught by this guy to be the best of the best, and obviously in the war context it makes sense because he's saying no pain, no fear, what does he say, no mercy.
No mercy is the tagline for that entire dojo.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And it's
work in like a competition based system. That is
what else does
purely
he say? There's no weakness in this dojo. Something, no
no
mercy in this
weakness, no
dojo.
mercy. Which is fine in like a war context, but in a
Yeah, and
like when you're supposed to be
it's very
bringing kids
brutal.
up like that,
It's
yeah,
like finish him. You know, he's like finish him. Like
Sweep
when they're
the
already on
leg.
the floor, he's like finish
Yeah.
him. Like, you know, punch him in the face, finish him, end it, sweep the leg.
and that is
You know,
absolutely
he's
like
very.
that is like a martial arts for military use, not for civilian
So
use.
it's like a lot of films in the way that Kreese is the real bad guy, and you really hate Kreese, but you kind of also. Johnny is like a bit of a dick in this film, but it's not his fault. It's more Kreese. And at the end of the film, you can see that because, you know, Johnny's like, oh, it's all your fault. And it's like, you're a loser. And then he smashes his trophy. You know what I mean? And even when they're in the fight scenes later on, and like you say, he tells him to sweep the leg. You know, he wants him to break Daniel's leg. You know,
Yeah,
it's
even
very-
though
it's a very-
he could absolutely win in a fair and square fight, Johnny could have easily beaten him.
Yeah, so exactly. So Johnny might have actually won, you know, if he didn't do that. But it wasn't actually Johnny who swept the leg. I think it was
No,
somebody else.
I've written it down. His name was Bobby Brown, I think. Some Bobby.
He's got a nickname though, hasn't he? He'll have nicknames.
I only heard them say Bobby. That's all.
But yeah, he's teaching him these very brutal techniques. And obviously Daniel's going home bruised and stuff.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
he says to his mum, like, oh, I need to learn how to fight. And he goes to the dojo and he sees what they're doing. And
Yeah,
then he
no, it's
obviously
not.
walks
It's,
out,
yeah, he
you know,
sees it to them. Like that is where he's.
and then
been-
Johnny. I think Johnny tells Kreese
Mhm.
that you know, he did something to him. I think Johnny makes out that Daniel smashed his radios. No, not smashed his radio. Daniel started a fight with him and stole his girlfriend. I think that's what he makes out to Kreese.
Which, if like from
and then
then, like if that's the angle they're going for, that makes sense that he would then step in to help him. But you know, it's a really weird situation where he's like trying to pull him into fight. It's weird.
And then obviously, I think at that point we find Mr. Miyagi. It's after Daniel gets chased, doesn't he?
Yeah, so that's so what happens is
falling
he
off his bike, I
fixes his bike. He gets kicked off his bike by the Cobra Kai motorbikers.
And Mr. Miyagi fixes it, and he goes, "Oh, I walked into a door."
Yeah,
So when he says, "I walked into a door," and he's like,
fell off my
"Strong
bike.
door."
Fell off my bike. Walked into a door. Lucky you didn't hurt your hand.
Yeah, and then he goes to the disco, I think, after.
Halloween disco.
But
Yeah.
he's talking to Miyagi beforehand, and he's like, "Oh, I really want to go to the disco, but I don't know what to go as." And Miyagi, he gets the shower curtains out. You know, they're cutting bonsai trees. You know, starts to make friends with him. He makes him a Halloween costume. They go to the disco, and then he uses the water pipe. And,
Yeah, like-
drowns Johnny, doesn't he?
I didn't drown him. He just like sprays him, but like that was all just to get in Ali's good books, really. Like because she said she wanted to get back at him. This entire film is pushed by the premise of him doing these things at the start for Ali. It's never for Danny himself. It's always for
Yeah, but you
Ali.
can kind of understand it though. 'Cause if you're like a young kid, you know, you do stuff for the girl, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like that's such a Hollywood trope that it is. The plot is being pushed by the defenseless female. In this case, like not in this case, because she absolutely clocks him at the thing. But like that is a divisive
You have to
use.
stick up for herself.
It's a divisive
You know.
thing that Hollywood does. Like they'll always use the woman as like the
Yeah.
or like not even just the woman, the love
Someone
interest.
says that loves Johnny in Cobra Kai. Yeah, Johnny's really good in Cobra Kai, and like you actually get to know his character more, and you start to realise there's two sides of the coin. Yeah, I like his character in that, and the ending for season 3 is amazing. But we're not going to get onto that because Sticking the Karate Kid.
Because I've not seen it.
So after that, you know, obviously Johnny chases Daniel. He's got the shower curtain on. You know, the shower curtain was actually foreseen when he's in Mr. Miyagi's workshop and they're cutting the bonsai trees. He's talking to Miyagi. There's a shower curtain in the background hanging up. It's a little fact for you. A little Easter egg. So he runs off, and then he obviously gets chased by Johnny, as we said.
They run back to his
and he
house. He runs all the way home.
Yeah.
And
He
then
actually runs outside where like Mr. Miyagi's workshop is, and jumps over the fence, or tries to jump off the fence, but then obviously beat him up again. And then Mr. Miyagi just jumps in and just starts like beating the crap out of him, which would be acceptable today. Like,
this is when you learn that he is a karate master, right? That is like the moment you're like, oh yeah, this guy can fight.
Yeah, he's like what, a 70-year-old guy or something. Well, probably like 50 in this film, 60. Yeah. He's portrayed as, and he just beats the crap out of like 5, 6 karate
five
students.
skeleton dressed karate students. Yeah.
Yeah, as a badass. But again, then reflect on this in the new series, because Johnny does the same thing to some like kids who are picking on somebody else, and he gets like arrested for it, and has God's caught about it, which is what should have happened, really.
Well, yeah, because times change.
I just got beat up. But
yeah, exactly.
No, that's interesting. But then, he heals Daniel up, doesn't he, with this concoction that looks absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a good scene. And then he heals up in like, what is it, like, looks like a couple of hours.
yeah, I know. They really, like, the time scale in this film is really weird. Like, there's no set time scale. There's no, like, it sort of just like skips from one point to another. But I mean, it makes sense that it is like when you're doing the same thing day in day out, time does sort of fade together, right? That is a realistic thing. Especially like when he starts doing the training, like there's no time scale for any of that.
Yeah, so when he's being fixed up by Mr. Miyagi in his workshop or his house, whatever, and then he wakes up and then he's like, what happened? And did I see you beat up all those guys? And he's like, where'd you learn that? And then he's like, can you teach me? And I think he asks him the reasoning, doesn't he? He's like, why do you want to learn first?
Which is important, because if he just wants to do stuff like Cobra Kai, then what's the point in teaching him?
Yeah, and that's the whole, that's Miyagi's whole like thing, isn't it? Like, only fight in self-defense. You don't fight to hurt or wound someone unless they attack first.
Yeah.
Which
completely makes sense. Creases kill.
It's like, kill anyone you see. Like, if they just for nothing, really. Creases, I feel, half the time. But what I love about this film as well is like their, you can see like their bond and the way they gel together on the screen, like Daniel and Miyagi, like the two actors, is just really, really good. It's like almost like father and son, isn't it? Like the way they are together,
which is shown a lot more later on in the film. When they
because like Daniel doesn't have that father influence, does he?
No, but not only that, but
I can't remember.
Miyagi doesn't.
Dad left or something.
Yeah, so later on in the film, like Miyagi does like talk about his experiences. Yeah.
So they both like needed each other at the right time, and they both found each other, and that's another reason why this movie works so well, because it's very heartwarming the way that they are with each other. So Miyagi goes to the dojo with Daniel, and he tries to sort the dispute out, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he can immediately tell that it's not going to go the way he wants it to go when they start to like, when Kreese gets involved and is like, "Oh, you don't like those odds," blah 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 blah. And he puts on his like big front like him.
And he sees the poster on the wall, and then he's like, "Tournament. We shall fight at the tournament. Whoever wins. If we win, you leave us alone." But then he's like, he puts in this clause. He's like, "Oh, you're not touching Daniel until the tournament," so that stops him from being beat up as well.
Yeah, and I mean that really does help, because he starts to get. I mean, Danny he gets cocky after that.
Yeah, he starts like tripping up at football and stuff, and then he really starts like, tormenting Johnny even more, doesn't he? So, which isn't good, but he knows he can do it. Like, he knows he can get away with it.
Yeah, even if it's only for like this next week or however long, because there's no time scale between the tournament and the time, so it doesn't, like, you don't know how long he's been like living with them, bullying him.
It was a couple of months. I think like a month or I reckon it was about a few months. I can't quite remember, but around that time. And he starts to get closer to Ali as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That was periods. I think there's some scenes that are missing from the school canteen where I think Johnny continues to torment Daniel. And Daniel says like, "Oh, you can knock me out 7 Sundays, so why'd you keep doing it?" And they cut him out of the film, which are not needed anyway. I mean, the film just works so well with all the scenes, but I just thought I'd mention that. So yeah, he starts tormenting Johnny, and he knows he can get away with it. And
then he starts the training montage, isn't it?
And like, you heard Sensei Grease, don't touch him till the tournament. Yeah, and then we start to begin the training, which another thing I love is like Miyagi gets him doing all these stupid tasks like washing cars, and everyone knows this. Wax on, wax
Well, yeah,
off.
it's supposed to like build muscle memory, right? And it's supposed to be like this thing. But Miyagi doesn't explain it. Like, he just says, do this, do this, do this, don't ask questions, do this. And then Danny, like, loses his mind. And he's like...
I think we're supposed to know why we're learning things.
Yeah.
So, like, he has faith that Miyagi can fight, but he doesn't know why. He just thinks he's using him to get all his homework done.
Which is, like, that's bad teaching practice. That's bad teaching practice.
Yeah, and then he just gets sick of it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. You're a fraud. You just want me to tidy up your garden and do all your tasks.
And that's like when you first see Miyagi, you get like a little bit mad. He's like, angry face, like, God damn, get over here now.
You know, he puts his arm out, and then he's like, do something, do wax on, wax off, and he starts all these karate moves, and then Daniel's like, hang on, we're on something here. Like,
well, I mean, I'm going to bring this back to the newer Karate Kid. I feel like that explains the training more, right? Like, where he's like, oh yeah, put the coat on the thing, take the coat off the thing. Like, that makes...
Yeah, and when he said, everything we do is karate. Yeah. I think he says that in this one as well, actually. I think he does say, Daniel-san, everything we do is karate. And he says, and he's like, he points to the heart, I think it says karate is in here.
Mm-hmm.
Or did I just imagine that? Or was that in the new one? That might be in the new film.
Yeah, I think that's like a flashback.
When he says like karate. Yeah. And that is like, it's a really good way, but you don't expect it.
No.
And like, if you was doing that training, you would totally like feel where Daniel's come from. You'd be like, why am I doing all this crap?
Yeah, I mean, in the new one, they do mention that it is like, I understand that this is to train muscle memory, but like, it without being told about it, it's, you can imagine how he feels. Like, you've got to imagine, like, you're there doing this all day, and then this all day, and then this and this and this, like, daily.
Like, he's saying to Miyagi, he's like, I'm gonna get killed. You know, I'm gonna get killed out there because you're not training me anything. I'm just doing all
waxing
these
your cars.
But then obviously it flips, and when that happens, like, the audience just get a massive kick about that, because then the music comes on as well, like the drums in the background, like, I don't know where the drums go. That's a completely bad impression, but you get the drums in the background noise.
You did.
You can tell the podcast.
Oh, god damn.
No, the background music is really good, and I'm not doing it any justice because I'm trash at, you know.
Yeah, that's really important to a film, is the background music. It really ties the film together when you've got drums as stuff happening, and like beat, like it makes you feel inside, like your heart beats matches the. There's
a lot of moments
drums
in these films. Like, as soon as you get to that point where it switches from wax on, wax off, and it's cleaning the cars and stuff, like from that point on, like you're just already hooked to the film, and then you get all these amazing scenes, like he's on the beach doing the crane kick. Like, you remember, Miyagi's like 65 or something.
Yeah, I know.
He's on the beach on a stunt, which wasn't him in the film, it was a stunt actor, but he's there doing the crane kick. You know, and then they're doing all these stunts on the boats and things like that. And even on the beach, you get like the sound of the beach and all these nice, like, it like makes the movie run at a really nice pace.
It's a romanticization of real life.
It's
right?
calm. Yeah.
Which is what Hollywood tries to do. It's an escape from your daily thing, and they do things that doesn't quite make sense, but like they in Hollywood movies it makes sense. In real life, you'd be like, "What the hell is that kid doing, kicking some water or whatever?" But for like this
Yeah,
film,
so like you got the drums and the fight scenes where he's training him. Then you got the beach. It's calm. It gives the audience a break. And then next thing you know, they're all at the arcade. He's at the arcades with Ali, and they're having fun. And then that another great song from the 80s comes on, which is an amazing song. And the next thing you know, tournament, like it heats up again. So it's like a stop and start throughout the film. Like you get a break, and then there's action. You get a break, action, and it just moves really well. The start of the film is a bit slower. As soon as you get to that midpoint, where he's actually started training, and he understands it.
Oh, we've got a question from Nick. Johnny mentions about being an ex-degenerate. What does that mean? Like, we think, or at least I think, that Johnny might have been, like, with, like, police issues. Because he does feel like like, the way that he phrases it makes it feel like in the past he's done a lot worse than in this film. Like,
I don't think so. I think the way they're portraying Cobra Kai, he's actually a really good kid, but he has got like a really hard life because of his stepdad brings him up, and he's like a rich stepdad. And I think he beats him and stuff. In this film, that's why he actually goes to Cobra Kai in the first place.
In this film, it's like mentioned that he's a degenerate.
At what point?
When we first get introduced to Johnny, he's like, they're like, oh, ex-degenerate. He's like, oh, you're a degenerate, and he's like, ex-degenerate. Oh no.
100% about that.
No, me neither. Sorry, Nick. We're not very well. I'm not very well versed on this film, and my one expert has no idea what we're talking about. So
where was we? Where was we at? So we've got him training
it's Ali,
Daniel now.
Yeah, we're getting to the bit where it's like Ali.
And then he says, like, he talks about Ali with Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi's like, "What do you take her on there?" I don't know whether he says that, but he gives him a car, which is actually a really sweet ride. I think it's like I had it written down somewhere in here, and we'll discuss it later. But it was like a 1948 Ford, I think.
Well, you've missed a bit here. You missed a bit. So at the start, just before that, Ali, like he's supposed to go on a date with Ali, and he goes to see her, and Johnny sees him looking through the window and like kisses Ali, and then Ali like clocks him around the face. But before that point, like Daniel's already left, so he only sees the initial thing and not the thing, and then like that pushes him away from Ali a little bit.
I think that's later on. That's the one in the restaurant, isn't it, where Daniel knocks a load of soup over Johnny, I think. And that's later on, I believe.
I think you're confusing the films, my guy. I don't remember any soup being involved in this.
He's running through the restaurant because he sees him kiss, and he knocks some food over Johnny's white shirt.
Oh, I don't do that.
I've watched this a million times.
In the one that I watched,
there's a couple of scenes. There's one scene where they're in the restaurant, which I'm not sure is before or after. You should have this written down.
I do. It goes. This is after he kicks the water. First. Yeah, so he kicks the water. He does the montage of the rowing, and then the balancing on the thing, and then he goes to see Ali for the first time. Then he talks to Miyagi while he's drunk on his wife's anniversary. And then from there, it then goes to...
Imagine balancing on that boat, though. Imagine that, like, that must be terrifying, man. Well, not if you can swim. I can't swim, so that won't be very good for me. And that, when he's talking to Miyagi about his wartime stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that is such, like, another, like, heartbreaking scene, isn't it? Like, we get a glimpse into who Mr. Miyagi actually is, and, like, how sad
it's the first time you really like relate to him, because all this time he's been like mystical.
In number two, he gets to re-meet a love interest, doesn't he? From the past. We're not talking about number two, but you get a bit more context in that about Mr. Miyagi's life.
So the thing is, like, in this is the first time you really like he's personified. He's not like some mystical old man. He is a human being. He has had heartbreak and tragedy, and that's led to him how he's portrayed in this film.
It humanizes him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it does. Yeah, and then doesn't Daniel get that framed
In the Cobra Kai,
as
yeah.
his number 2?
So, and then,
In
like,
Cobra Kai.
yeah. Then he, like, after he does all the, like, talking, he then gets given the car on his birthday when he gets the gi with the patch on that his wife did. And then that is, like, when it first, he goes to then meet Ali again, argues with Ali, speaks to Ali's friend, and realizes that he's been an absolute tool, and then apologizes to Ali, like, within the space of, like, 20 seconds.
Yeah, so first the restaurant scene comes, doesn't it? Where he sees them kissing.
Yeah, so it's
That's
first, then drunk Miyagi, then it's the car, then it's arguing at the arcades while Ali's with her friends.
Yeah. And then they, like, make up, don't they?
Yes. And that's
They
when,
make
like,
up with each other, and you get this really good sung montage, and it's, like, really fun and exciting.
and then it goes into the tournament, like, straight after that. Like, you don't get any time to sit back, relax. It's straight away time to die.
You know what I find quite funny about Daniel LaRusso? In every single film, he's got a different love interest.
Does he really?
In every film. Yeah. I find that quite funny because, like, he's always like, oh, this is the one, and he's got a different love interest. But obviously in Cobra Kai, he's, like, married and stuff like that.
Yeah, but he's still hooked on Ali. Like, Ali was the person who he fully fell in love with, I think.
But season 3, they'll look into that, and
yeah, I've got no idea how that goes. Don't spoil it for me, or I'll kick you in the nose.
It's good, George.
Okay, I'll watch it.
So we get into the tournament stuff, and Miyagi signs him up, and they're like,
he just steals a black belt. Yeah.
He's like, "What's your dojo called?" And he's like, "Miyagi Do Karate." And he's like, "Have you registered here before?" And I think he says, like, "Oh, you need to register within 6 months or something." He's like, "Oh, I need to register today."
Yeah, and then he gets Ali to, like, stand next to him as he leans in to correct how he spelled his name and steals a black belt at the same time, while using the phrase "Buddha provides," which I thought was hilarious.
What he said, Buddha provides. Did he put that on the form?
No. So he's like, afterwards, like, he's like, "Oh, where did you get this?" Because he's like, "Oh yeah, he's a black belt," but he clearly doesn't have a black belt, and he clearly doesn't know how to put the gi on or do the belt. But like as he says, "Where did you get this?" He's like, "Oh yeah, Buddha provides," and I'm like, "Is that allowed?"
I just say, like, Pat Morita is so good in this film. Like, his acting really sells this film. And he wasn't actually meant to be cast for the role. They actually wanted to cast somebody else, but they looked everywhere and they couldn't find a better actor for it. He's actually a comedian before this. And the directors, one of them really wanted him and the other didn't. The other one wanted, like, a buff, like, Hollywood 80s actor.
Yeah, like,
and
basically,
basically
what they eventually got the bad guy to be, right? Like, he was, like, their ideal good guy. I've immediately forgotten his name, but
guys, don't forget to like the stream and subscribe for more of these.
Oh yeah, we'll do Q&As in a bit. We'll do a little bit of Q&As.
We definitely rehearse for this podcast. We've done our research.
We'll take some Q&As at the end, and we'll answer some questions as well.
So Paprika's just so good. Without him, this film wouldn't work.
Yeah,
it's the same with the new one. It's the combination of the actors, like, you know, Daniel and Miyagi. They're perfect casting.
Yeah, you need to have characters you need humane characters who can, like, clash, or not even clash, like, counteract each other. Like, for Miyagi and Daniel, that is that.
Yeah.
For Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan, that is that. Like, they as long as that, like, they can riff off each other.
But it's like you don't know their work until it happens. You know, until they start acting together, and then you're like, yeah, this is
the combination we need. Yeah. So
yeah,
Robert still was a black
Jr.
belt.
was actually supposed to play Daniel.
Really?
Yeah, in the 80s, Ralph Macchio, who plays Daniel, used to always go up against Charlie Sheen and Robert Downey Jr. for most of the roles. Robert Downey Jr. was looked at for the role of Daniel. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine people looking back and being like, "Oh, that guy plays Iron Man."
That's Iron Man.
Karate Kid.
Iron Man's in the Karate Kid.
I don't think it worked.
I mean, the thing that the reason it worked is because he's kind of. I think it is because he's kind of a new actor. Like for me, I'd never seen this kid in a film before. So
he had been in some other films. He had actually been in something with Robert Downey Jr. I think they were friends.
But he has like the perfect face to be punched in the head. Like he's got the big wide eyes when he looks scared. And like
he stopped acting for about 20, 30 years as well to look after his kids. That's why we didn't see like that much more acting from him after Karate Kid 3. So he's like, he's a genuine guy in real life. Like he stopped acting.
He's essentially Keanu Reeves of the karate world.
Yeah. And he's come back now, and he's obviously had another success with Cobra Kai because it's, it's cemented into our culture, isn't it? Yeah. Karate Kid, so hence why it works. So yeah, we're at the tournament.
The Cobras
finally got that.
Really aggressive fighters in everything they do. That is like the one thing. Like I was like, oh yeah, these guys are trying to kill these people.
They are badass though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But, like without a doubt.
You can tell that really. I mean, Kreese, he does know how to train fighters, and these guys do kick ass. But it's when they start playing dirty, you're like,
like they didn't need to. They could have easily won, which is. It's like the fact that they basically really threw themselves away. Like
yeah, they are really solid. No.
So like,
but as you say, that fighting style just throughout the film, they're just brutal, always
it's just horrible,
so brutal, so aggressive.
It is like a martial arts for the military, like that is.
And you start to think to yourself, like, is Daniel going to win this? Can he win against these guys? All we've
especially
seen is
when he cracks his rib, right? So he's got cracked ribs, and he like when Kreese says to Bobby, you have to like, I want him out of commission. Like it's about to get real. You know that they're going to play dirty. You know that they're not going to care if they get kicked out or if their careers are ruined, because in this moment all that matters is what Kreese says. Because if you say no to Kreese, Kreese will kick your head in.
Yeah, like Kreese is like, he's played so well. Like he's a really good actor again, and he's perfect for the role. And like you are kind of like scared of him. Like he is this. He's got the
face for it. He's got like the chiseled face and the evil eyebrows. It's the eyes. Yeah,
like he doesn't even blink.
It's scary, man.
And the way he stands tall, and he's just looking at him like that. Like he gives him an eye, and he's like, "Take the leg." He's like, gives him that look.
Yeah.
Like, we got to do it. Like, wouldn't you? Like, you'd listen to that guy.
And like the thing is, like he's immediately like the guy who does it is like he's immediately sorry. He's like, "I didn't want to do this. I'm sorry, Daniel. I'm sorry." Like you can tell they're forced into this sort of.
Yeah, because I think they actually start to gain a bit of respect for Daniel. He's been training, he's come to this event it's the first time, and like they've all been there, so they kind of do get that respect. But Kreese is obviously like, we're taking this guy out. I'm not going to be humiliated by a Okinawan karate guy. I'm not going to have my dojo, like, bad move.
So Okinawa is in Japan, so when he says like he's from a separate place, he is still just from Japan. But I like that he does.
Which I think it does have some truth to it. Like I don't know whether it's a real place. I think it is.
Okinawa,
it is a real place.
And it's south of Japan.
I think in history, I don't know. There's some history tied to it with karate. I don't know whether they created karate or they have their own form, which is.
I mean, everywhere in Asia really has their own form of martial arts. China has wushu mostly, and I know that.
But I mean,
Okinawa is like,
it's passed down from father to son, and Miyagi was actually taught by I think Sato's father. I think
he said it was his own father.
Yeah, his father, but his father trained Sato, so they were both taught it, and then it's obviously passed down from generation to generation. So yeah, they formed Miyagi-Do. So it's like a generational thing.
I mean, it's definitely like a lot more. It feels to me more like Tai Chi, with the way that they look, their outlook on life. Not in like their fighting style, but they are more like everything is karate. You need balance. Like that is like Tai Chi. That is like an outlook on life like that.
But it's like it's a wholesome form of karate. It's not. Like,
it's not like Cobra Kai. Yeah, it's not Cobra Kai. It's its own like more relaxed.
It's like Star Wars, isn't it? there's often made comparisons between Star Wars because of the light side and the dark side, and it's always done in films, but in this one, it's done really well.
I mean, even the dark side isn't that bad, really. Like, the people are forced into it by Kreese. Kreese is the true villain. You're pushed on it thinking like it's supposed to be like Johnny. You're supposed to think, oh, Johnny's the bad guy, the Cobras are the bad guys, but they're just in a bad situation. And you can tell that from Cobra Kai, especially.
It's like, you know, but the thing is, these guys have joined that dojo as kids.
Yeah.
You know, and they've been brought up with Kreese as their master, like a father figure. And he's taught them everything they know, so they have to listen, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's like a father to them, so they wouldn't disobey him. You know what I mean? He's got that hold over him. So yeah, the fight scenes towards the end are really good and really well choreographed, I think.
Yeah, not only that, but the camera doesn't move from the fixed point, which is essential in a fight scene. Because you'll notice with Hollywood films now, it'll be cut, and you'll see like motion cut, and you'll get flipped around, and you'll get confused between who's fighting who and who's fighting who, especially when people are wearing black. Or that's why people wear black or white, because the white is supposed to, like, you're supposed to be able to see it. It's why characters sometimes have like white sleeves.
Did you know that the cast were actually put through rigorous training and had to learn karate? And I think
you'd expect it. It's not a weird thing to hear, but it like films nowadays won't do that. Like, I know that like actors themselves sometimes want to, but a lot of films don't require you to know what you're doing. As long as you can BS it, you're fine.
Johnny, I think he was actually a martial artist anyway. Like, I think he already trained in karate.
I feel like they dumbed it down a bit to act like they're kids, because some of the stuff you could see like telegraphed from a mile away. Like, you can be like, oh yeah, he's gonna kick, or you know, like I feel like they've definitely slowed it down so that you can see what's happening and you can follow what's happening.
But they kind of have to, and like,
especially with technology then as well.
And I think the way that they build the fights,
like
the way that bit is scripted to build up to Johnny is like so perfect, and how Daniel faces all these challenges in between, and he keeps getting knocked down, but he keeps getting back up.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like that's used a lot in like anime. So that is, you know, as long as you don't give up, you can achieve anything. It's like a full-on like plotline of a lot of like cartoons, animes, and stuff like that.
But in real life, it wouldn't happen. Like you say, he's got broken ribs. He's got one leg.
Yeah, cracked rib, broken leg. His knees got snapped.
I don't think it's broken, but it's sprained.
Yeah, it's done enough damage to it.
He wouldn't be able to win in a fight in that condition.
I mean,
realistically,
without like, it's like, oh, it doesn't hurt when I don't move. Well, you're in a goddamn fight. You've got to move. Yeah, it's definitely romanticized, but like,
it's romanticized.
It's still good that he does overcome all the adversity, all of the bad things. Adversity. Yeah. Adversity.
And I love when he's had the crap beat out of him again, and he goes back to the locker room, and the doctor's like, the fight's done.
Yeah.
You know, he can't fight, can't go on. And Mr. Miyagi's just there, he goes, and the music comes on. Fixes him up.
Well, yeah, because like,
his leg.
It's at that point he's like, oh, I don't want to fight for anyone. I want to fight for me to prove that I can do this. Like, that is the only reason Miyagi does fix him. Like, he's not going to until he's like, why? And
Miyagi's like, I need to fight. He's like, you've proved yourself. Like, you've done enough.
Which is absolutely true. He could have walked away and they probably wouldn't have ever bullied him again.
Yeah. And then, like, Daniel said, like, you know what? I need to do this. I need to finish it. I think Miyagi also says, like, if you do it for you. And what's the line? Do you remember the correct line, George?
I know that Daniel's like, yeah, well, he says that, and then like Daniel's like, it's not for Ali, it's not for Johnny, and it's not for the tournament. He wants to fight Johnny for himself, which really like is like a hero quality. That is like, that's when you're like, oh, this guy's the good guy, really. Like, he's not doing this to get back at them.
I'll tell you another comparison to this film is what's it called now? It's 2007.
Oh, I
2007.
love the silence that is
Knocked
happening.
down, knocked down or something.
I don't
No,
know. I don't really
I
like
don't know. But
fighting
there's a really,
films.
really good film. It's just like a rip off of the Karate Kid. That's amazing. I can't remember the name. We'll carry on, Joe. So yeah, he gets back
I've
in the
completely
ring
lost
with a
my
blind
thread now.
as you can see, we spend hours preparing these. So he gets back in the ring and he does the crane kick. And like that scene, oh my god, it's just an epic
It's
scene.
really
Like I say,
well
I
filmed.
will watch it just to watch that film, just to watch that scene, that part of the film. Like it's amazing. Like that's the kind of ending you want a film to end on. And it's hard, like, to get that kind of scene because you think about it, throughout the whole film, you've had these amazing moments, and then you finish on such an amazing scene.
Yeah, it's got to be a high. Like that is the high point of the film. It's when you think he's gonna give up. It's where you think he's gonna fall, and for him to then do the crane kick and have it a little bit slow motion, but not really. Like for the time, that is the slowest they could really go.
As a kid, like, I was introduced to this film as a kid, and I used to love it. Like, I used to watch it all the time. Like, I weared out the DVDs so much that they didn't work, and I used to remember practicing the Karate Kid crane kick in the living room. And after the film came out as well, it had that effect on kids.
Yeah, well, it's the same with all like hero films, right?
But like this got people into like just like Rocky did in the 70s. It's got people back into sports and doing karate and got kids interested in it. So it had a really good effect in that respect. Like, you know, getting a lot of kids interested in like exercise
like,
and
now, especially with Cobra Kai, like karate has had like for a while it's been going down in I mean, on a widespread scale, like it's been going down in popularity. I mean, I know that Power Rangers does the same thing. Like all of their martial arts is martial arts, and the people that perform them are martial artists. But you don't see them as martial artists. You see them as Power Rangers. You see them as, you know, heroes or whatever. But when it's down to earth and when it's realistic, like in Cobra Kai, like in this, it really does like want to make you do these sports.
But it's also teaching kids like a lot of morals and, you know, a lot of good qualities that like Mr. Miyagi was passing on to them. He was kind of passing on to the kids who are watching it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like only fight for like
things you believe
self-defense.
Or things you believe in.
Yeah, and only do it for you and, you know, persevere. There's a lot of good qualities that people watching it get from this movie. And I think that's why I like it so much as well, because, you know, it's a real feel-good film. You start to get to know the characters well, and you sort of go on a journey with them, and that's really good. And then, as we said, that song is attached to the Karate Kid as well. Like it's so perfect. And then Johnny hands in the trophy as well, so like you get to see that, you know, Johnny has that respect for him.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, you can always tell that he respects the sport rather than the people, but he is stuck with Kreese. There's nowhere else to do karate. You only ever see him.
I think that's one of the only dojos in Rosita, isn't it? So
yeah,
or the main one, you know. But like when he hands that trophy back, like he could have been really crappy about it. Like he's just lost and
or,
he's won like the last how many tournaments. But no, he gave Daniel a hug. He said like, "Well done, man." He's like, really "You earned this." You know, and that's a really nice scene, you know, to see that.
That's when you're like, oh, this guy's not just a villain, he is a human, he's just been on the wrong road.
Exactly. And, you know, you see that. And then at the end, after that bit, the ending, you see Kreese talking to Johnny, and then you actually see, like, that dynamic about, you know, like we said earlier, like Kreese is like the puppet master, and Johnny's saying like, "You're a loser. You forced us into this," and then he smashes his trophy, and then Mr. Miyagi comes along. He's like, he punches both windows. He gets Kreese to punch both windows. He got his knuckle bleeding, and then Mr. Miyagi like, he's like, I love that. That's such a cool. That's such a funny scene, and it does get you excited for the second one. You know what I mean? Like you want to see what happens next. So yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, it's.
So yeah, I'll give this movie definitely like a 10 out of 10. I think personally, and it's actually held up a lot over the years.
It has, but I still feel like there's limitations in the technology at the time. which is obvious. Like you like. I mean, I really like how it is like a fixed camera at the end of the fight. But if they'd have had like not even just like a couple of cuts, like not
I
even
don't know
cuts.
because a lot of the films these days, like a lot of the sports films, they've got the technology, but they still don't. They don't hit like a Karate Kid film. Like they don't have the same impact.
It's because it is that fixed camera. You actually see the fight in old Chinese films, like Hong Kong films, Chinese like kung fu films. You like the reason why they hit so hard is because they actually hit the to be an extra.
I think what you're talking about, the single angle, is actually taken from. Is it Kurt Russell and Bruce Lee?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what kind of what I'm saying. But like, it's in karate
a
films.
lot of fighting films follow that kind of style because it's like
It's ingrained in this
it's
style.
iconic.
Yeah.
And even a lot of the games of like the last 30 years, like Mortal Kombat, all use a single screen for fighting.
So the reason
single-
why, and I'm gonna go into a little bit of detail about karate films.
I love how good he just gets tactical about all
Oh
this
no,
stuff.
I
man.
really
Like,
do
talk about
like.
the story.
I do like the technique.
Talk about that.
So
You can tell you as a tech guy.
the extras in Chinese cinema, they don't get paid unless they're in the scene, whereas English or American extras will get paid no matter what, even if they're not in the scene. Even if they sit around all day.
Worked on a couple of films as an extra for Bruce Lee. And
Yeah, that's how he met Sammo. Him, Sammo, and like a lot of the like early American Chinese films that came out.
I think he was enjoying it. He was like, "Oh, can I go again?" And Bruce Lee just punched him in the face or something. They was doing this scene where there's all these like bad guys. Bruce Lee.
So, like him, Sammo, all of like the original like kung fu people in film, they all came from Chinese opera. Like that's where they originally like.
That was inspired by Bruce Lee, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Bruce Lee was the guy, and Jackie Chan even looked up to him.
Yeah, everyone looked up to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was incredible, not just as a fighter, but as like an actor.
We need to do like a classic Bruce Lee film for one of the podcasts on that. I need to watch him.
I mean, if we don't do Enter the Dragon one day, I'm gonna cry. I love that film. The way, like, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the extras and that. So, because they don't get paid, they are more up for actually getting hit. Because if they get hit, they're on screen. They get paid. So I know that Donnie Yen doesn't pull punches. He will happily knock people out because he was brought up in Chinese cinema.
That's Andrew's favourite karate style, and it's not Yen.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, the thing is, like, it makes sense in like the Chinese style, like because if they don't get it knocked out, they're not on camera, they're not on stage. But a lot of the stunt people, like every stunt person in a kung fu film in China, are all actual martial artists. They're happy to take the punches. I know that.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I've got like probably 60 pages of facts on Karate Kid, so we can fit out the next like 2 hours. I wish we had like a sound.
Well, like the thing is, the one like that is why those films hit harder because the impacts are real, and if they're not real, they will make them. They'll do specific camera techniques. I know that I remember hearing Jackie Chan saying they will pull the hit twice. So they'll hit, and then if the camera changes, they'll hit again, and then you'll see the hit twice, but it'll be like not like in English cinema, where or American cinema where you'll see it hit, and then the camera will switch and the person will go flying, and you won't feel the impact because they cut like the punch out, and the punch is where the impact comes from, and that is why Chinese cinema and Hong Kong cinema are some of the best fight choreographers because they will actually they'll make it so it looks realistic. I know that it's like
Rocky, Rocky in Rocky 4, he let Ivan Drago, or the guy who plays him, I did know his name but I forgot it, but he actually let him like deal brutal punches on him for Rocky 4, and you know how big like Ivan Drago is. I mean, the actor. Do you know the actor's name? I did know the actor's name. That's it. What's his name?
I don't know.
I'll come into my head right now, but he's like a huge actor and he's built like a shit house. And he's doing these like brutal punches to Sylvester Stallone. And I think he broke some of Sylvester's ribs, or he dealt some like really bad damage to him. So one of his ribs was pushing into one of his arteries because he hit him so hard he almost died.
It's that dedication to movies that you don't really see much. Like you'll see Tom Cruise do it, and Tom Cruise and like Jackie Chan are kind of the only people that are happy to do their own stunts, really. I mean, Keanu a little bit.
Jackie Chan's probably like on in his body.
Can we just have a little chat about Jackie Chan real quick? Jackie Chan, when he does his own films and he's not like with an American director, you can always tell which are better. American directors film so differently to Chinese directors. Like if Jackie Chan was to do his own film, you can tell that that's better than like, was it the Zodiac film? Some shitty Zodiac film. I'm gonna swear there because it is terrible. But
the past part of the podcast after dark.
It's you'll be able to tell which is filmed by a Chinese director and which is an American director based on how they do fight scenes alone. It's atrocious. They need to take
there's
hints.
one thing we missed. Let's talk about like Daniel and Johnny when they actually get to fight in the tournament, and it's like a seesaw battle, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a technique that happens in a lot of like anime as well. That is like a anime like classic.
Really builds, because like one of them gets a point, then the other gets a point, and then
it all comes down to the final thing. That is always like in tournament arcs of any anime.
Where it starts to get hyped up, and where the suspense goes on, is Daniel actually he delivers a blow to the back of Johnny's head and gives him a nosebleed. George? Still there, bud?
Yeah, my sister. I just took my sister. What's up?
He gives Johnny a nosebleed.
Yeah.
No, and then again, it's like this seesaw battle between them, so it really builds suspense towards the end of the film.
It makes you feel like they're really equal fighters, which I think is what it was intended to be.
That's like 15, 20 minute 20 minutes of fighting, and it's what Cobra Kai does really well as well. Like, there's a lot of fight scenes, and that's kind of what you want to see.
Yeah, and they're really well choreographed. They are, I mean, not only in this, but in Cobra Kai as well. They have like really decent choreography, even though they're kids. Well, not even kids. Like some of them are like 20. Some of them, as long as they look young, they're able to be a teenager in a film. But like the way.
What's your opinion, George? Do you think?
I enjoyed it.
Do you like it better? Or,
I mean,
do you think watching Cobra Kai?
Yeah, it has. It's changed my opinion on it. Yeah, it has, because it does need that backstory about it.
There's a lot of things left out, isn't there? And it's so good that they're able to revisit that. And I feel like a lot of these reboots, that's the route they should go down. They should try and mix the old with the new. You know what I mean? Because it gets the fans excited, and it also brings.
But it has to be done well. If like you can so easily ruin a franchise by making a terrible sequel or prequel, or like especially like you can tell with Star Wars, right? The Star Wars, the first three were incredible, and then the prequels, utter garbage. Like no matter what, like the technical prowess incredible, but it is just awful. Like. George Lucas isn't a great director. Let's be real. He doesn't do story. I mean, even.
I would say he's a good director, George.
Yeah, no, he's a good director, but he's not a good like storyteller. Like he understands visuals and beats and stuff, but he doesn't know how to write a decent story, and you can tell that because like where he's like.
That's very controversial.
It's controversial, but it's true.
I don't think I agree with it. I'll be honest with you. But I've got so many facts, George. I think you're going to like these. I think this is what we did better. I think we did the facts quite well. I think when it comes to looking at scenes in the films, we sometimes get a bit confused. Because remember, we are talking about like a 3-hour film here. Not 3 hour, but like 2-hour film. Yeah. So we have to go through a lot of footage. So Daniel in this movie is actually 17. I'll point that out. And Let's have a look.
I mean,
So, The Karate Kid is actually semi-autobiographical. It's based on the life of its screenwriter, Robert Mark Kamen. At age 17, after the 1964 New York World's Fair, Kamen was beaten up by a gang of bullies. He thus began to study martial arts in order to defeat them himself. Kamen was unhappy with his first teacher who taught martial arts as a tool for violence and revenge, so he moved on to study Okinawan Goju Ryu, I think it's called, karate under a Japanese teacher who did not speak English but was himself a student of Chojun Miyagi. Like, that's so nice to know, like, knowing that that's the backstory.
Knowing that actually has a real life backstory makes the film a lot better.
The karate, like, actually comes from Okinawa, and like a lot of the elements of the story are actually true. Like, that just makes me love this movie even more. And again, the director is the same as Rocky, so like, you know, you got a good story, you got an amazing director who's got some amazing films behind him, and also he's great at doing indie films around well, because Rocky had a very small budget. I think with this film as well, had a very small budget.
Have you read your chat?
You know, and he made it work. Someone was talking trash about Star Wars prequels. This is why I've been so. It's George, man. He just.
I can't stand them. I can't stand them, man. I don't like Anakin. I don't like Jar Jar Binks. They're just unnecessary characters.
So, as a Hollywood screenwriter, Cameron was mentored by Frank Price, who told him that producer Jerry Weintraub had optioned a news article about the young child of a single mother who earned a black belt to defend himself against the neighborhood bullies. Cameron then combined his own life story with the news article and used both to create the screenplay for Karate Kid. Additionally, given John G. Avildsen's involvement with both films, Sylvester Stallone often joked with Cameron that the writer had ripped off the Rocky films. So again, like, he took two elements and put them together. Yeah. Like, that's amazing screenwriting, isn't it? It's kind of like Rocky as well. He took the Muhammad versus Frazier fight and took that and made it into a film. So I quite like that when films are like, you know, partly based on real events. All right, this is going to interest you, George.
I'm interested.
Now listen to some of these names who was supposedly almost cast as playing Daniel. All were considered. You got Sean Penn, Robert Downey Jr., Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez. What is he playing again?
Emilio Estevez? Why don't I recognise that name? I'm going to Google it. You carry on.
I think I know. Is it Mighty Ducks? It might be Mighty Ducks. Nicolas Cage, Anthony Edwards.
Nicolas Cage would be such an awful.
The one in Nicolas Cage as well. It's like the Tom Cruise effect, isn't it? They try and put all these big names into these kind of movies. But then again, Nicolas Cage probably back then, I don't know how well known he was. How well known was Nicolas Cage in like
1984?
84.
I think he would have been still quite a young actor. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Tom Cruise as well. Tom Cruise was considered for the part. I think that would have actually been quite funny to see Tom Cruise.
Oh, Estevez is in Breakfast Club. That's why I recognise his name. He is in Mighty Ducks, you're right.
He also does Mighty Ducks, yeah. Yeah, he's all doing Mighty Ducks. Yeah, Breakfast Club.
So he's part of the Brat Pack.
You could see these guys as Daniel, but I don't think they'd have the same effect.
I think maybe Emilio would have done, because in the Breakfast Club, I think he's supposed to be like the jock.
The thing is, the Breakfast Club gives him it gives him a certain image, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that was after.
Which is
Breakfast Club
to,
was 1 year after Karate Kid.
So you got Eric Stoltz, and Ralph Macchio was ultimately cast on the strength of his performance as Johnny Cade in The Outsiders, 1983. I've not heard of that one, but Macchio has stated that his performance as Johnny influenced the development of Daniel LaRusso in his next film, The Karate Kid. Interesting. The studio was originally wanted the role of Mr. Miyagi to be played by Toshiro Mifune. I don't know who that is.
Toshiro Mifune. I actually recognise the name.
Seven Samurai, The Hidden Fortress.
Oh, he was in
But
Seven
he did not speak
Samurai.
English. Yep.
What was his name?
I'm guessing that's a
Masahiro
famous
Tahiro.
Toshihiro Mifune. Probably pronouncing that wrong.
Masahiro. No, I think you're right. Toshihiro.
Listen, some facts, and we just like figure out if we actually know any of this stuff. Like we know.
So
any of these
Seven
people.
Samurais was the idea for Magnificent Seven. Magnificent Seven was written about Seven Samurai.
Yeah. Pat Morita later auditioned for the role, but was rejected for the part due to his close association with stand-up comedy and his character Arnold in the sitcom Happy Days. Have you seen Happy Days? He's such a lovable character in that. I've not seen it much, but I know of him. He's like a really lovable character. You know that song, Dressed Like Buddy Holly?
Yep.
Dressed Like Buddy Holly. Well, he's in that music video.
You mean ooey looks just like Buddy Holly by Weezer? Yeah. He's the
From Happy
owner.
Yeah, I think he is. After many failed attempts, Morita grew a beard and patterned his accent after his uncle, which shows him being cast in the role. So that accent that he does, where he's like Daniel-san, is actually patterned after his uncle. He doesn't really sound like that. I think he's got like an Americanized voice because obviously spent a lot of time in America, I believe. The 2007 music video. Have you heard this one? Sweep the Leg.
No.
There's a famous song called Sweep the Leg. It's by No More Kings, and the stars of Karate Kid were actually in the music video. So William Zabaka, who directed it, and references the Karate Kid. Interesting little fact. George, stop looking at your phone, man. I'm giving you all these cool facts.
This is for fact checking.
I got like 60 pages.
God damn it, man.
Well, I realised at the end of the podcast we never have anything to talk about.
No.
So I've got all the facts here. Right off bloody Wikipedia. Some of them are off Wikipedia, but that's not the point. Okay, so Daniel LaRusso's last name was meant to be Weber.
I saw this in Johnny's. Johnny was something else. Johnny Rice or something, wasn't
it? Yeah, I've got that coming up. It was Donald Rice.
Donald Rice.
Imagine if the name was Danny Weber. So I think it's going to be named after Daniel Lloyd Webber, but not 100% on that. I'm just going to check how many likes we got, guys. Do not forget to like the video if you don't mind, because George has got to sit through all these facts now. So,
I mean, I'm on 4. What are you on?
And let's go on to the next week. We've actually got quite a lot of likes today. I'm impressed.
Yeah, what do you want to see? Do you want to see us react as like a cartoon or?
I'm sorry, but if you keep playing Fortnite, I'm going to get middle member. Marlon, that's not very nice to blackmail people, dude. Fortnite's doing well on the channel, so I'm not going to stop playing it. If you want to do middle member, that's up to you. You know, I'm not going to force you to stay. But we're going to get back to the podcast anyway.
Yeah, please let us know if you have any suggestions for films or anything.
You're the best, the song at the end of the film.
By Survivor, not Survivor.
Originally written for a different movie. Although You're the Best will forever be tied to the montage of the fight scenes during the All Valley Karate Tournament, Joe Esposito's song was originally written for Bill Conti and Ali Willis to be used in Rocky 3. Oh my god, I feel like that would have been amazing, Rocky 3. I'm sure it is in a Rocky film.
Yeah, I think it is in a Rocky. It's in a lot of fight movies afterwards.
But was ultimately replaced with Survivor's Eye of the Tiger.
Which is good. Survivor really suited that film.
Also iconic for Rocky.
Yeah.
This information in the 2008 interview on the Adam Carolla show, where he said "You're the best," was turned down for the use in the movie Flashdance as well. Mm-hmm. Imagine that in Flashdance, George.
It would have been weird.
It's weird, isn't it, to know this stuff about films, like what could have happened, especially when the film's like cemented in pop culture. Watching Friday Night Dinner. I love Friday Night Dinner. And was replaced with Michael Sambello's Manic. The 80s truly had an embarrassment of riches when it came to montage songs.
Yeah, they really did.
What's someone?
Almost every
But it's good
song
though,
was worked in a montage sort of scenario.
but I feel like it did establish a culture of montages and movies, which
Might have gone too
is
far.
good for me. Maybe. Freddie really did take a soccer ball to the face. So, you know, on the beach scene, he actually did take a soccer ball to the face. As Daniel and his new friends play soccer on the beach, his eye is caught by Ali Mills, a beautiful blonde from the hills. Coolly trying to impress her, Daniel shows off his soccer skills, only to have the ball knocked away by Freddie. Watch closely and you'll see that the
It does.
poor
You
Freddie
can see
takes
it.
a
It absolutely
direct
slams him in the head.
and you can Daniel back. I love that they left that in.
They're doing a lot of
that's
films.
so realistic.
If the actor takes damage, a lot of either the actor or the stunt guy, they will normally always leave it in.
Yeah, we discussed this earlier, but many of the Karate Kids locations are still intact and they look exactly the same. So a few sources have provided fascinating photos of the current state of many of the filming locations using the Karate Kid. For the most part, these California-based locations are still recognisable and look very much the same as they did back in the 80s. For a complete look at these film locations, visit its film there. Marlon, stop spamming in the chat, man. You know we're trying to do a podcast, dude. It's not good.
Can someone time him out?
Time you out.
I can't
I gave you an
my
answer.
lights in the way.
No. In fact, I can just turn the chat off for a bit. Apologise, guys, if any of you guys have something good to say, but I'll concentrate. I've got a lot of facts to read out, and you know, George, I'm going to lose George on this. You know, you may discuss things with the chat. With the podcast, guys, we do try not to read as much chat because we know these are going to go up, and people watch them at work, people watch them while they're on the move and stuff. And I don't want to say like I don't want to be having an argument with Marlon over the podcast. You know what I mean? It took me a while for the Karate Kid fans to find the film location for Mr. Miyagi's house. It took a while to find the film location for Miyagi's house. George, your face has gone really weird for some reason.
So is yours. I think your internet connection's a little bit goofed. Marlon just disliked my stream. Dude, fuck off.
I'm just going to get the Discord page up now so we can look at that. Although most filming locations from the Karate Kid were found long ago, Mr. Miyagi's house eluded location haunted fans of the film for a long time. But in 2014, taking the art of finding film location to a whole new level, one fan did some major sleuthing to find and confirm the location of Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, you lagging, homie. You lagging. What's going on?
Shouldn't be lagging, George.
I can barely hear you.
Better. Is it better?
Not particularly.
I don't know what's going on. Hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was talking about Mr. Miyagi's house. So it was really difficult for people to actually locate it, and it was demolished in the 80s, which is interesting because I thought the house in the new Karate Kid was the original house.
I thought so as well.
Or in Cobra Kai. So that's very interesting to me.
Like the separate house in the oil yard, I thought was exactly the same. They must have rebuilt it, and there's just the specifications there.
Where they do karate in the back garden, Cobra Kai. Yeah, I thought that was literally his house, so I thought they kept it.
They must have just rebuilt it.
The two run-ins between Daniel and Johnny were deleted from the Karate Kid's final cut. So it says the original Karate Kid script included 2 confrontations between Daniel and Johnny that were eventually cut from the film. The first takes place in the school cafeteria, just after Daniel was after he bought lunch for Ali. And you see them both about to take a seat, and Johnny hurries over just in time to sneak a piece of blueberry pie onto Daniel's chair. That would have been quite funny to be fair.
That's typical,
standing up with
Joker stuff.
covered in blueberries. is equal parts embarrassed and livid. In a brave act of revenge, Daniel smears what is left of the pie across Johnny's shirt, and mayhem ensues. So I guess that's like the scenes in Cobra Kai again, where they're all fighting in the cafeteria, really, isn't it?
It's probably where they got the
From
idea
the
from.
scene, the BB novelisation, correct? The other scene occurs in the film and also takes place at school. Coming up from a drink at the fountain, Daniel finds himself face to face with Johnny and stands up for himself again by questioning the practices of Cobra Kai. So that would have been interesting to see.
Yeah, because that would have
Mr.
led to
Miyagi,
the conflict between them more.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if that's in any of the director's cuts or anything. I might have to have a look for that.
Maybe.
Mr. Miyagi gave Daniel a sweet ride. So it was actually... so the car that he gives him for his birthday, the yellow car, was actually a 1948 a 1948 Ford Super Deluxe Club convertible.
I mean, he could have picked a cooler car.
Yeah, so Chuck Norris did not decline the role of John Kreese.
He would have been a great
going around
Kreese.
that he did. Yeah, I think he would have. It says he was initially considered for the part, but turned down the role as he did not want to be associated with character that represented martial arts in such cruel and aggressive way.
Makes sense.
Makes
a lot of sense, yeah.
He said he wasn't actually... no one actually approached him for the role, but he said he probably would have turned it down on those bases. So, I really like Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is an awesome actor, man.
He's in Enter the Dragon. Yeah, he did.
I was talking about Chuck Norris versus Bruce Lee, so at least I'll correct myself on that.
Yeah.
When you're talking for a long time, guys, that's what happened.
I mean, like,
So
Enter
Sensei
the
Kreese
Dragon's great.
There's a picture on the wall showing Kreese wearing full military fatigues and recognizing him as a karate champion and a U.S. Army captain from 1970 to 72.
Mm-hmm.
It's also referenced in the rest of the Karate Kid trilogy and
Cobra Kai. Yeah, but it didn't, like, I swear at one point it was shown that it was like a fraud, but I might be imagining that.
Pat Morita did not perform the crane kick. It was actually performed by black belt Daryl Vidal. It just looks like it's him. Vidal is now a 10th degree black belt.
It's probably
one of the
more
most
than that by now.
respected teams. Jesus. You better start practicing crane kicks again. More than 30 years after Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence faced off in one of the cinema's most iconic showdowns, the Karate Kid has officially made a comeback. Cobra Kai. We talked about that. Pat Morita was initially turned down for the role of Mr. Miyagi. Just that, man. George, feel free to, put some facts in your own.
I won't talk facts, but I will talk cinema history.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay, good damn it.
Johnny Lawrence was originally called Donald Rice. Talked about that.
Oh, Donnie
That would
Rice.
have been such a stupid name. Like, because Johnny Lawrence actually sounds like it's got a ring to it.
It's because it's two first
Imagine being
names.
called Donald Rice.
It-
You'd never be able to take him seriously.
It's because it is two first names. It has a ring to it compared to Johnny Rice.
In fact, man, going on. Yeah, Daniel's iconic shower costume is foreshadowed in Mr. Miyagi's workshop. We discussed that. I've got a lot of the same facts here. It's what happens when you print stuff off. But I got sick of writing everything down, so I just thought, why
Yeah,
not?
instead of writing it on pen, I just wrote it in a notepad instead. Right, while you're looking for facts, both chats, give us an idea of what to do podcast about next week. Do you want to do film? Do you want to do games?
There was the film wasn't actually mentioned. I mean, the high school wasn't actually mentioned, but it's All Valley High. Also, there was a thing in the film. I think it said that Daniel's mum, she worked for Rocket Computers.
Mm-hmm.
It says here, Daniel and his mother moved to California as a result of her new job with Rocket Computers. Flight to the Future. The original script reveals why Freddie had never heard of it, and also shed some light on why it seems that Mrs. LaRusso might be an employee of the restaurant across from the Cobra Kai dojo, as she shares with Daniel. They went bankrupt. Listen to this. I walk out of Rocket with the beginning of an exceeding headache. 1 in 10 about to come on. I'm going back to the car when this woman comes flying out of this restaurant, the Orient Express, and she's screaming, I quit, I quit. Right behind her, this guy is yelling just as loud, you can't quit, you're fired. This is 1 minute to noon. People are coming into lunch. I'm first, but on the applicant, I got the job. This is her new position as a waitress. His mother clarifies that she's not a waitress. She's a hostess.
With the mostess.
So apparently Rocket can... I don't know whether that fact makes complete sense.
It doesn't. That was confusing as heck, but whatever. We'll roll with it.
Mr. Russo reads vintage magazines. One of the magazines was published in 1969. Yeah, Happy Gilmore's grandma. Talked about that.
Mm-hmm. You should really get a highlighter and go through whenever we do a thing. You can just go through and cross it off.
Yeah, but I feel like this is more natural, George. No, not that. I just didn't have that much time today. A band from the Karate Kid soundtrack appears in the movie. The Karate Kid soundtrack includes the song No Shelter by the band Broken Edge. The band can be seen in the film playing on stage at the Halloween dance. I feel like that's a fact you appreciate.
It's a lot like Back to the Future.
Yeah. What band played in that?
Huey Lewis and the News. The entire song, like The Power of Love, I think they are the band in the second one, I think. But I'm not sure. I could just be making this up.
The reason I'm doing these facts is just I think it packs it out and gives the audience some like interesting, cool things to take away from the podcast, you know. But some of them might be complete, you know, not nonsense, but they might be as facts. I don't know. But I have took these from like, you know, different websites and stuff. The Karate Kid fight choreographer Pat Johnson was an expert, a referee, and a toy. Think of that.
The last bit was a bit weird, but
so
whatever.
Pat Johnson was responsible for the choreography of the Karate Kid fight scenes. Johnson, a well-known karate expert, also played the part of the referee in the film's final match.
Is he also the...
When the Remco line of Karate Kid action figures hit shelves in 1986, a figure based on Johnson as the tournament official was included in the competition center set.
Was he the same guy that did the choreography for Cobra Kai?
I'm not sure, but maybe. That would be an interesting thing to find out.
Carry on. I'll look.
Get your, at least it gives you something to do. The Karate Kid includes some famous family ties. How do you expect me to know that, George? I don't just go research and you choreographed all the scenes. Like, that's something you do. You should know these things. So the Karate Kid actually includes some famous family ties. So a lot of the child actors in it, or like teenage actors, probably actually adults, I don't know, but
they'll be between
Dutch,
like 18 upward.
Yeah, so Dutch, member of Cobra Kai, he was played by Chad McQueen, which is the son of the legendary actor Steve McQueen.
Lightning McQueen, he's the car from Cars. He goes ka-chow.
That's got nothing to do with Steve McQueen, George. Steve McQueen was a very famous actor.
He was also yeah, but he was also a race car driver.
He died in a car crash.
Yeah, that's why Lightning McQueen is called McQueen, because of Steve McQueen.
I'm surprised I never knew that before. Also, early on in the film, Freddy invites Daniel to a beach party with his friends. Among those friends was a Chucky, played by Frank Burt Avalon, who happens to be the son of singer and beach film veteran Frankie Avalon. I don't know who that one is. But
Frankie Avalon. I thought Frankie Avalon was a musician.
So at the Halloween dance, Daniel has a raw egg smashed on his head by a guy dressed as a chicken. Chicken George. The chicken boy is played by Todd Lookinland, brother of Mike Lookinhand, Bobby of the Brady Bunch. So one of the guys from the Brady Bunch. You may also recognise Larry Scott from the original Revenge of the Nerds role as Jerry.
Who? I don't know what that
Larry
film
Scott.
is. Barry Scott here.
No, Larry Scott.
Barry Scott
Lastly,
here.
although actor Andrew Shue, brother of Elizabeth Shue, appears briefly as an arbitrary member of the Cobra Kai. He's best known for playing the role of Billy Campbell on Melrose Place.
These are all things I've never heard of.
So the Karate Kid was not intended to conclude with Daniel's victory over Johnny at the tournament. The opening scene in the sequel, The Karate Kid Part 2, which sees a parking lot confrontation between Kreese and Miyagi, was the Karate Kid's original ending. But Hiller's novelization of the film, early copies of the script conclude with Miyagi tweaking Kreese's nose and the members of Cobra Kai dropping their belts around their defeated leader. So I seen this and I was like, that would actually be really interesting to see them all drop their belts
but I
around
don't
Kreese.
think it would hit as hard as him just winning and it fading to black afterwards.
Yeah.
Like the reason,
we talked about the Karate Kid earlier, and have you seen when all the students start going up to Jackie Chan and they all bow, and then they become part of they want to join him. They want him to teach them.
Yeah,
I find that really interesting. I really like that ending. I like this ending too, but I'm just saying that was a really nice touch. What was you going to say, George?
just I don't think that would have hit as hard as it did in the Jackie Chan one because you don't get a lot of information about these characters prior to that. Whereas there is a lot of interaction between Jaden Smith and the enemy kids, which doesn't happen in the original.
Well, another thing is you wouldn't expect American teens to start dropping the belts like that. You wouldn't expect it.
No, that's definitely a straight Chinese Japanese thing to have that respect for your. I mean, mostly Japanese.
I got Pat Morita facts out. So the actor Pat Morita had a very interesting life.
Mm-hmm.
Go on. He grew up in World War II on some of the it's called internment camps.
Internment camps were the concentration camps.
Yeah, so him and his family actually were put into them camps during World War II, so he didn't have a very good upbringing. He was also hospitalised, and the doctor said he would never walk again. So there's a lot of interesting facts. I got it here. Pat Morita had a more than just troubled childhood. As a toddler, he was diagnosed with spinal tuberculosis, I think it says.
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis, yeah. I can't read, George. That doesn't sound very good, does it?
No. Tuberculosis is
and he says shortly after he was sent to the sanitarium for treatment, where he stayed for almost 10 years. 10 years as a kid he spent in the hospital. So what does that disease do then, George? Tuberculosis?
It fucks with your bones, I think. I think tuberculosis absolutely destroy. From what, I have no idea. But
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the fact that I can't pronounce these things, and I couldn't even freaking read what the disease was called. Around George.
I don't know. I could look it up.
It says later on, his family was held in an American internment camp, which was also fate of many Japanese and Japanese American.
Oh yeah, so so that was after World War II. The internment camps were a way for them to control the Japanese population of America, which is such a dick move. Because
it says once family moved to California.
The reason why they were held in these camps is because at the time, Japan were in World War II still. So they were worried about spies mostly and internal sabotage. But
I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube stuff about Pat Morita, and he's got such an interesting backstory. I think people don't talk about it enough. For one thing, as well, to be cast as that kind of character in the 1980s in an American film and have such an impact.
Yeah.
As a a 56-year-old actor. It's just crazy. Pat Morita's acting didn't actually begin until he was over 30 years old. It says in the
Quite old for
1960s,
an
his
actor.
first acting career was in a small part in a film, Car Thieves, in 1964. The rest of the 1960s, Morita spent much of his time playing stereotypical Asian characters. Some examples include his character of Toshi in The Outsider, and Wang in The Shaker's Gun in the West, and Oriental in Thoroughly Modern Millie. We talked about The Outsider, right? Didn't we? Didn't we say that the guy who played Daniel LaRusso, he was also in that film, I believe.
Mm-hmm. That's what you said.
Get off your phone, George.
I'm looking for what TB does to your spine.
That was a big problem at that point, from the 60s onwards, that a lot of people were typecast and were playing stereotypical roles.
Yeah, especially in Hollywood, they really, really badly typecasted people. If you'd get a part just because you were light skinned or Asian, like you'd like I know that there were there was a film and there was a real big controversy about it because they hired a load of I think people that weren't even Asian as Asian characters, or they were like the wrong denomination of Asian, like they were supposed to be like Japanese and they picked like Chinese people or something. But like instead of speaking Chinese, they made them just shout like ching chong and stuff because that was easier to dub than actual Chinese sayings, which is fucky. That's real fucky.
It's really bad for today's standards because today that would be seen as really bad.
That would be discrimination.
Yeah. Exactly. It says that 1980s was possibly Morita's busiest decade. For the earliest years of the decade, he continued to work mostly as bit characters in television shows like Laverne and Shirley, Magnum PI, A Whole of Paradise, and he also had a recurring role on the show Happy Days as Arnold. I think that was his other big role, Arnold. That's what everyone knows him for. Which he kept until 1983. It began in 1975. However, Morita's biggest claim to fame was his role as Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid. He
fits that role really well.
Yeah, I can't think of a better actor to play him, to be honest. He's just like the perfect person for it, I think.
I mean, nowadays there are a lot more people that could play him. But at the time, like, you can imagine in like a still heavily racist America. I mean, America's still pretty racist now, but for them to have an Asian character in a story where the Asian character is the hero, that was a big thing for the times, I think.
Did you know that in the 90s he played in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Murder, She Wrote, Harry and the Hendersons?
He was in Murder, She Wrote. That's classic.
American Ninja 5 and Inferno. Oh, he also played in Baywatch as well. Hang on. Pat Morita continued to act until his death in 2005.
Yeah, he died quite recently. Well, I say recently. Yeah, 2005. That feels recent to me, but it's not.
Several of the projects he was working on were released after his death. Baywatch, Centre of the World, Down in the Derby. I wonder if they had another Karate Kid in production. I wonder if they had planning another Karate Kid.
I don't think so, but he is credited in Cobra Kai. They say that it is for him that the TV show was created.
Yeah. I think that spawned because of that thing that went on YouTube where, the guy was posing Daniel as a bully. I think that's where it come from because then YouTube commissioned the show, didn't it?
Yeah, at the start it was a YouTube show. It was only recently that it went to I think it might still actually be on YouTube, but like season 3 was on YouTube, I think, in different countries, but it predominantly a Netflix production. It was YouTube Netflix combo. It's interesting that the two huge platforms would like cooperate like that because Netflix has access to all the actors. He
got Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Oscar, The Karate Kid, and he got a Golden Globe for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in a Motion Picture, The Karate Kid.
He does deserve them. Like, he played that character perfectly.
Yeah, I think he does. I think those kind of actors don't get recognised enough. I think they should. You know. It said his first marriage was to Kathleen Yamachui. I can't pronounce these names. In 1953, they had one daughter, Erin Marita. However, the couple later divorced in 1967. He then remarried in 1970 to Yuki. And in Karate Kid 2, his love interest actually called Yuki.
What's this guy's name? I've forgotten his name.
Pat Morita. I've said it like a million times. This whole other half of the podcast is basically Pat Morita based, and you don't even know what I'm talking about.
I was putting Martino by accident.
I did forget the name of the guy who plays. I did forget Ralph Macchio's name there 10 minutes ago. But
you also confused Chuck Norris with someone else, so you have no say here.
Kurt Russell. Come on, they are quite similar with their hairstyles and stuff.
Kurt Russell plays Ego in Guardians, man. No, that's Kurt Douglas.
Yeah, I couldn't. No, it's not, George. That is Kurt Russell.
Oh, good. I did make a tit of myself and then made a tit of myself. It's fine.
I was actually trying to think of his name when I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy 2 who had me the other day. I couldn't come up with it. I was like, what is that name? And I couldn't think of the name for the character with the tentacles. I can't think of it now either. In Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guy with the tentacles? Are you sure you weren't watching a porn parody, my guy?
And with the tentacles, the one who can control people.
Oh, Mantis.
Make them go to sleep. Yeah, I couldn't think of Mantis. I couldn't do it now. I was getting confused, man.
She's not tentacles.
So
they're... Antenna.
I would call them tentacles, George. So he died on November the 24th, 2005, and his cause of death was kidney failure.
Do you know that he was in Mulan? I think he...
73 when he died. So where does that put him then? 2005, take 20 years off to 1985. So he would have been 53. To me, I was putting him around 65 in that film. But
I think they aged him quite a lot. Especially, I think they grade his beard and stuff.
Why have I got all these rubbish facts? There's quite a lot of Pat Morita facts anyway. But I read there was actually a stand-up comedian. I'm just going to take these off my head there. I'm not going to read anything else. But he was actually a stand-up comedian. That's how he first got into like acting and stuff. And he was in this one bar doing stand-up. And he went over to the waitress and she said, "Do you know who's performing tonight?" It's quite a funny story. And I don't think he said anything, but it was actually him performing, and it turned out that all the people in the restaurant were survivors of Pearl Harbor. And he was a Japanese stand-up comedian.
Yeah, but I mean,
imagine
to be honest, I'm go out of my way here and be a little bit of a dick. But 2 years into a world war and you don't defend your own harbour, idiots. I mean, it was obviously a disaster and horrible, but what do you expect in a war?
Yeah, but think about it. Being in his position and their position.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be a horrible situation to be in.
Yeah. So yeah, he was doing stand-up, and he's Japanese, and all these guys were survivors of Pearl Harbor, and he nearly gave him a heart attack. And a lot of his original jokes during stand-up were actually, he just took them out of magazines. But then he started to go into acting and get acting roles. But he did actually have like a successful business. I think he was like an engineer or something, I read. And he had a successful business, and he was making a lot of money, but he got burnt out and didn't like it. And like, it's not making me happy. So I have to give him props for that.
Yeah,
and he got into acting like in his 30s. And he started to bald young as well.
Hang on, can we just not talk? Can we talk about his hit film, The Karate Dog?
You mean his hit film, The Karate Dog? Though?
I'm just looking through his filmography list, and it goes Mulan, The Karate Dog.
Mulan.
Mulan 2, yeah.
Yeah, because he did a lot of animated films.
Yeah, he's a voiceover for a lot of stuff.
There's got so many pieces. But yeah, he had a really interesting life, I think, and I think it's good to discuss it. If you guys want to know more about Pat Morita, then go on YouTube and search it. You know, he has a really long backstory, which we've kind of discussed.
We've done is we've scratched the surface.
We've just scratched the surface, really. And plus, they'll put it better than me because we've been gone for 2 hours and I'm starting to mispronounce all my words.
And these people spend like months doing research on stuff where we took a week. And even then, it was only like 2 days of a week.
2 days of a week.
Yeah. So if there is anyone in chat, any of you in chat have any ideas for what we should do our next podcast?
It's quite enjoyed these because we like to talk for like a couple of hours and a lot of it is garbage.
Mm-hmm. But it will just fill your ears with our voices and you can relax and listen to our podcast as it works.
A lot of people actually watching. I think today has been our most successful one, ironically. I'm pretty sure Marlon's done the disc. But
yeah, he did on mine as well.
Let me just discuss that. So, like, he's probably not watching, but all you guys wanted me to switch back to Minecraft. Like, you should know by now, I'm just going to do whatever content I like. So Marlon's saying, I'm going to reduce the price of my membership and stuff.
Acting like that's going to actually control how we do.
I have a lot of fans that also like to watch the Fortnite stuff. I have like 20 members that also watch that.
Hey, Alfie.
I have a lot of fans that don't like the podcasts. Like, a lot of people don't watch these, but me and George enjoy doing them, so we do them anyway. Like, you know, we find it fun to do. So I'm not just gonna switch.
Especially in future. Like, we're going to hopefully live closer to each other so we can do them in person, right?
Yeah.
So imagine us doing this but drunk. How funny would that be?
I did say to you, George, we should move in and split the rent to something, just do YouTube all day, like that would be so good. If we actually made like it successful on YouTube, that would be the perfect thing to do, I think.
It'd be, I think having a separate office, you know,
yeah, true,
would work.
Coffee.
The thing
like,
is,
I'm sick of people telling me what kind of content to make because I will just make whatever I want.
Yeah, we do stuff
you
that we
should know
enjoy.
by now. If you look through my channel, the content is always changing, and a lot of people don't like that because they like to have one set content. But YouTube's like a place where I express my ideas, and you know, if I feel like playing a game,
the thing is, YouTube is a thing where you can't stay stagnant. You can't just stay doing the same thing, or you will just sink.
I've spent 3 years playing Minecraft, and it's not getting much traction anymore.
And it's not a great game.
It's hard.
At the minute,
no one's
it's
watching. Like,
bugged.
And no one's watching. Like, what's the point? Like, you know, like
there are other games we can play. Apex doesn't get much views, but we enjoy playing it. Fortnite gets views.
Like
we enjoy playing it.
It's helping the channel grow. And me and George were dead against playing it like 2 months ago. But like, I seen there was a gap in the market and we should play it. It was getting a lot of views. Me and George started playing it, started enjoying it. So, you know, the only reason I've not done it today is I've been too busy. But I was thinking in my head, I was like, I really want to play Fortnite for you guys, you know. So, plus on Minecraft.
I mean,
George,
the thing is, you have to learn that we do things that we enjoy. We are not here specifically for your entertainment. We don't belong to you. We do what we want. If you like what we do, enjoy what we do. But if you don't, that's your problem, not ours, you know? And like, we're not going to change. We're not going to change who we are to pander to a bigger audience, really. Like,
the people that sub to me just for me, because they like me as a person, they enjoy watching me talk and watching me play whatever game it is. Those are the audience that I like.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a bit toxic. Like, I can't say to Marlon, I'm going to start playing Minecraft again because you're going to take your member away or take it down to a lower price. Like, if you're going to do that, you're going to do it.
If you're going to do it, that's your decision. That's got nothing to do with us, man. You know, we're not going to listen to you blackmailing us. Life lessons, kids. Exactly. This is the part of the podcast where we talk about our problems.
We're just gonna talk about YouTube for a little bit and random stuff. So get some comments in there if you want to ask us a question about Karate Kid.
I know that I got a couple of questions from Nick earlier. He's asked. He had 2 questions.
Nick's been That's the catch us out, man. Abby says she's been watching Joel Weather Abandoned Places. Need to watch the Shed Cast Aside from Nightmares. I actually like watching them. I find them interesting.
So, Mick asked, what do we think of the idea of an anime Karate Kid? I think that would be really good. I think animation can really push the boundary of karate.
Made a Cobra Kai game for PC.
Yeah, but imagine like an animated, like... because in animation, you can do things that you cannot do in real... Rocky, shush, man.
I think it would be good to build out the story, because obviously anime is gone for like 1 million episodes, but...
You know, but the thing is, like, they don't have to. Animes can run for 12 episodes, but imagine how, like, the fighting scenes would be improved by animation styles. They can really push the boundary on what can actually happen to someone, like, motion-wise.
I want to know... Just a little side note, guys. I want to know what all you guys think of Karate Kid and what your opinions are on it and what you think of the film in the comments section if you've watched it.
Okay, and also,
talk about anime.
Before we do that,
try to avoid the anime.
No, I know. I really like animation.
The only thing I know about anime is I ordered Spider-Man
and got flushed away, thrown away, spirited away. That's the one. Who in the movie?
I'm still.
Who in?
Free copy,
it's a good film. Spirited Away is great. So Nick also asked, who in the movie can you humanly relate to, or who has the most casual backstory? So for me, I fully relate to Ali, to be honest. She's just floating in her life, doing her own thing.
I think I just relate to him because of the person thing.
I mean, like,
Ali. I think everyone wants to be Daniel after watching this film.
I mean, Ali's just there doing her own thing. And then suddenly, like, some guy and some guy are fighting, and then they're fighting over you, but are they really? Then they make friends at the end or something. Like, she's just doing her own damn thing, and I really enjoy that as a character.
You know what is coming out in May, George?
Yeah, I know, I heard that. I mean, to be honest, you might not even get into the country in May. We don't know what's going to happen.
I did mention to him that he should wait until it's finished and see what happens, because I don't want him to come over and we can't do anything. Like, what's the point? Wait till lockdown's finished and we'll sort something.
I don't know about July, but we like they're thinking of easing restrictions. They're thinking about easing restrictions in March.
Rocky's got a driving license, so I think you can use that in the UK, can't you, as long as you got one?
Yeah, as long as I think you just like it should be fine.
So I was thinking, if we hire a car, we can all go down to like Blackpool or something, pick George up on the way,
gang,
and then have like a weekend away or something, or a week
vlog
away.
Time, baby.
Yeah, vlog it all. How would that sound? That would be awesome, I think.
Yeah, it would be. Speaking, right, I'm going to go back to anime again. Just out there. So, I think, like,
anime question.
The karate style would work.
I had a question before on the podcast. Someone was asking me, like, is Simpsons considered anime?
No, it's not.
It is animation.
It's not anime. Anime is specifically Japanese animation. Simpsons is American. There you go.
We're going to be in lockdown until July.
I don't think it's going to be eased lockdown. It's going to be eased lockdown in July, but I think it's harsh restrictions till March, end of March. Do a voog. It's harsh restrictions till the end of March, I think.
Take me too. We'll have to see what Rocky says. Like, he'll be driving.
He'll be driving the limo. Camper.
That would be...
Bro, camper van would be
to do. If Rocky
incredible.
We have to do it. We have to do it. We have to make a thing of it. It's coming all the way from the US, and it's going to cost a decent amount.
Okay, so...
Rocky's down in the UK.
No,
I was thinking, if the YouTube thing took off in the future, we could make a business like Shed It Incorporated or something, register it with
Shink. Company Houses Limited.
Trading standards or whatever.
It's Company Houses.
Company House. And then I can employ people, and I can employ Rocky, because he'll have a position in the UK. He could stay in the UK. But you would have to work for that, Rocky.
I think, well, I mean, you could join him. He could just move to the UK anyway. It's just that he wouldn't have... Like, you don't need a visa for the UK.
Oh, I think you do.
Only from specific countries.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but I think you do need a visa no matter what, especially with Brexit and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Brexit might have buggered it, to be honest, but at one point you didn't, because free movement from European countries, and I think outside of European as well.
You can come and work.
I
have to come, have to make he doesn't take my man. I love it. I mean, this is why we have to make the podcast like have a specific theme, because this is the kind of question we get.
Do we actually? But before we go on to like more like down the rabbit hole chat with Abby and stuff, but
I've got a girl I want to be in the UK.
Do we have any suggestions for movies, TV shows, games, any sort of medium? Like it could be comics, it could be anything that you think would work well in a podcast format.
Let's just talk random rubbish next week, like we usually do. We get the PlayStation 2 games there. Or why don't we do like a favourite movie? I don't know. Just do like random stuff, like all topics like we used to. I don't want to do movies every week because I want this podcast to be.
Well, that's why I'm specifically like putting out like TV shows or music or some other medium. But
sometimes I fancy discussing a movie, but sometimes I fancy just having a chat.
Oh yeah.
And I think sometimes the chat gets annoyed. Like I know you guys get annoyed, and I know you always say, "Shad, are you replying to comments?" Because normally I do. Like normally I do reply to these comments, but when you're in a podcast, like now, this whole later half of the podcast is just complete garbage.
Yeah, we normally do Q&A towards the end anyway, so it's like
people tuned in to talk about Karate Kid. We're talking random rubbish now. So like they're sitting there going, "This is not what I tuned for."
You want to do Star Wars? I mean, I like the
Pokemon cards strapped to your jacket.
No, it's the Flash.
What is that?
It's the Flash.
Why have you got that on your jacket, George?
Because it's attached by spikes. I've got like punk spikes, but it's in like my pastel punk jacket.
Such taste in fashion.
It's weird, isn't it?
George used to dress like Freddy Krueger in uni, just because we've seen a red and black top in the Sports Direct and the rips in and stuff.
Dude, I would have absolutely loved just to let go of my fashion and just go wherever I wanted. Just go absolutely mental. Like I would have done makeup and everything if I could. Like I would have just like that was the perfect time to do it. Like was university was when I wear my purple lipstick and my black fingernails.
You draw it on your arm and stuff like a weirdo.
Bro, I was just having fun. I was losing the plot. It was great.
I feel like
uni does that to you. Uni does that to you. What's up, Alfie?
How's everybody doing? By the way, guys, I've been doing videos.
Alfie, don't out me on the GCSE video.
Card openings, and I did a duet with someone who has 250k followers. One of my favourite TikToks. He actually replied, so it's been a good day. I just always get hyped up when someone with a lot of followers like
interacts,
acknowledges you. I think a lot of you guys get that in the chat when I talk to you, but like, I'm just a normal guy. But like, it even happens for me, like, because I look up to some people and I watch those people, and I'm like, this is my content. So for that guy to reply to me at 250,000 people, it would probably drown him.
I mean,
ridiculous.
So how does TikTok actually work? Do you get monetized videos? Is that a thing?
It's just really addictive.
Is it monetized?
Really you do get monetized. You're gonna have 10,000 followers. No, 10,000 watch views, 10,000 views, and 1,000 followers. And you have to be over 18.
So like that reminds me of early YouTube, back when short form content was a thing. Like back in the day of like,
it's really good because you can do what you want. But the main problem with TikTok that I don't like is they have no like. They don't really have any moderators. They just ban people for no reason. Like you can report someone for having nudity in their content. They take down your whole channel when you didn't even have that in your video.
Yeah, I saw that. Someone was so they said
really
I was tagged for nudity, but I was wearing a turtleneck. Explain that. TikTok.
That happens so often. It happens so often. Is that you that's followed me, Ruby Grooves? Oh, Roman Grooves 0.
You absolute gorilla. That ain't me.
Roman Grooves. That's like Rainy Grace. Look.
You're goddamn blind, man.
Roman Grooves.
You're an idiot.
I just got a shout out on YouTube. You should get it, Jordan. It's very addictive, and it's really weird the way, like, there's a For You page, and the content's supposed to be for you, even when it's not for me. I keep seeing the same people over and over again, and then you end up following them.
So did you hear about the YouTube glitch? There's currently a YouTube glitch where, as long as you have access to a community page and you can do community posts, even if you're not even in the thing, you will be pushed into other people's inboxes. And people have just, like, do you know Dream, the Minecraft YouTuber? Controversial. The reason he exploded in the past, like, year is because he's been using his community tab. And, like, that pushed you into... Like, YouTubers really, like, focused on that.
I was like, shout me out on TikTok. I've only got 36 followers. I want me to showcase your TikTok. I'm not showing everyone's TikTok on YouTube, guys. That's not what this video is. I just had to show that because I thought it was George in disguise. You know, Roman Groves. I mean, come on. Ravy Graves, Roman Groves. Like,
so, if you want to look at, like, what this, like, bug is, go to YouTube and put in... the Spiffing Brit, and there's an explanation about why it works and stuff.
You just said watch your TikTok. If you look to the left at the bottom of the screen, it says TikTok, Instagram, and it also shows my credit card. You guys are missing out if you're not following our Instagram, because every time we do one of these podcasts that's movie based, George makes a totally trash thumbnail.
I really enjoy it. I do it bad on purpose as well. They're so fun to make.
I'm putting all those on the Instagram, so I might actually get it up on screen. I'm putting those on the Instagram, so you're missing out if you're not over there.
Like, I really enjoy making awful thumbnails. Oh, where'd you go?
I'm just going to show him the thumbnail. George hasn't even photoshopped this property. It's so bad that it's good in a way. That's George.
What I did, I spent most of the time colour matching the skin tone, which doesn't even, like, it looks okay on you, but on me I'm way too dark. But
his face here, like, what have you done to your chin, George? Like, that is on Instagram, and last week I got Indiana Jones on. It just makes me laugh so much. I've got to mention it because it just gets me super high for the podcast because it's so funny.
They're really funny.
Indiana Jones one. You can see these on TikTok, guys. It's a little promotional thing. We're only going to read this for movies, I think. Where's the one?
Or movies or TV shows. I
got a photo.
I sent it to you in Discord. You should be able to find it.
And I should have it. Oh, there it is. So
you'll notice my picture will always be the same one.
That was a collaborative effort. And then the latest one is this one. You know, you're so cheeky, George. You said my face matches ball with Mr. Miyagi. What are you talking about, George?
So the skin tone match. In the picture, it was one from when we graduated, and the lighting was just perfect for your skin tone to be Mr. Miyagi. Like, all I needed to do was blend the edges.
That's like Liam's Undercat or something. But yeah, this is hilarious. Like, I could actually probably do a better job of these, but
they wouldn't be as funny. They wouldn't be as funny.
So it's just hilarious. So I'll put those on Instagram. If you go and follow over there. Well, it's something nice to do on Instagram as well, to share that as a little promotional thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And I just love looking through them as well. Like, I've got them all here, look. So it's going to be like a series on the Instagram page.
Yeah, and we'll do the same for TV shows. If we ever do TV shows or games, like, if there's a specific scene from a game, we can easily just switch our face in. Like, that's so easy to do.
I want to talk about the different types of content that I make. So on TikTok, it's going to be pack openings, because I was doing those originally on here anyway, and sometimes random videos. Some of you guys already follow over there. On Insta, updates for the podcast, updates for stream setup, things like that, new things I'm buying. Random stuff, basically. Facebook is going to be the same content that's on YouTube. The podcast probably won't appear on there. Like, I don't put those on Facebook. It just makes sense to me. YouTube, obviously, gaming, podcasts, all that sort of stuff. And possibly some future stuff to come. I know I say you're showcasing the badges, George.
Yeah, not just your badge, but my badge as well, which is just my face.
Oh, nice. Minist. Thanks for coming over, man. Yeah, I'm his brother. Black Sheets, brother. What was we talking about now? I've lost my train of thought. Any other platforms? Discord. We have a Discord channel if you want it. I can tell you.
It normally gets
About
put in
70
chat.
people over there. Yeah. And then
whereas,
obviously we've got the creative.
Whereas my content, all I do is art and video games and podcasts, and they're
as
all
I said
on YouTube.
earlier, the Fortnite video is going to keep coming because they're getting views. The channel's growing, and I'm trying to aim to get like.
I mean, until we burn out of the
subs
game as well. Like once we burn out of that game, we'll move on to something else.
Doing videos like that brings new people to the channel. Other games. Then we have people to watch when we play Minecraft, when we play Apex, when we do a really bad podcast that we've got like, well, we have them research. I'll say they're bad. They're not that bad, but you know, it's just the way we do it. I think actually works better than if we
did it properly. I think if we tried to do it professionally, it would not be as funny as low budget, low tier, just two dudes having a chat.
God. Discord. We already have a custom Panda Discord, Alfie. But yeah, George has made some badges as well, which might be going out to people. I think they're probably going to be about £2 each because postage, George's got to make them. He might have to buy more materials so we can make more. So if you want one, let us know. And then just like...
We'll mainly do it through donations, probably.
It's just like, you know, just to provide George with the materials and stuff because he's making them himself. But you can see him on the screen. Don't know if you want to show a close look at them. This is George's venture, so I'm not really involved in it, but it's going to go to all people who like to support the channel. There might also be a Shedwards badge, and also the Shedwards logo on Facebook might be put on a badge. So I don't know if you want one of those. I feel like you should get the whole badge in there, George, but it wouldn't work, would it?
No, it's without a different
logo would work.
It needs to have a specific color, like background, but like I mean, the gold one looks. I could do the gold one better. I just need to get the size down, and the sizing's the hardest part.
What do you guys want to talk about then? In the comments, let's get some questions. This part of the podcast is for you guys, but I know we've been neglecting you a bit. But we always talk to you guys at the end. If you guys have stayed and watched the whole thing, then I appreciate that massively. $17 likes, George.
Yeah, and I got 17 and 1 dislike, and I got 5 and 1 dis, which is like my consistent.
Yeah.
Get on with Mitch's face. I mean, I could. It's Abby. If you want that, I'll make you that just for you. All right.
Mitch's face.
I can do that just for you, Abby.
You know the pillows, George, with the massive faces on.
I was gonna do the same. I was gonna get Taffel with my face
funny.
on. Actually, it was going to be this face. This is the face I was going to do, which is the one when I was in the balloons.
It's terrifying.
Like
you just love that photo.
The sequel one, I really do. I think it's one of my favourite photos. Either that or when I'm hanging off a tower, like leaning backwards.
How did you get the name Shedwards? Why do people always want to know this? I've talked about it so many times, but like, I used to just like take stuff apart and stuff, and one of my teachers said like, "Oh, you should get them in your shed, and you can make some crazy stuff." Like it can be an inventor or something. I think it's my maths teacher. And then I got a PS3 after that. And my second name is like Edwards, so Shedwards, it makes sense as a nickname. And I got my PS3 in 2008 and I was like, what am I going to call myself? And I was like, oh yeah, Shedwards.
Just like, it's for me, it was exactly the same kind of thing. It was the first thing that came to my mind is like, oh, what do I enjoy? Music? What is another name for music? Rave. Rave? Grave. Ravey Graves. That was it. That was the only thought that went into it. You know, like it was like a throw in the moment, like ha.
But back then, that was like how we used to come up with our IDs, though.
And it's better than
I don't know,
some of the dumbest ones. I used to have a friend that went by the name of
our second name is Ems, so he's called himself Ems. It's a similar thing, really.
I had a friend that was something like Tomb Raider 6969 XX. You're like, well, that's stupid. Why would you call yourself that? Like, there's no creativity.
I think just. I don't want to say that at the moment, Alfie. Like, I had not got time to be going on random discords. Those pedals are funny. Yeah, I should get you one, Abby. You should. Why is there panda badges? Because, yeah, we just said that you can buy them. They're going to be £2 for, like, probably it to George, and George will post them out.
Sure.
It might be a set of 3 actually. It's a Shedwoods logo.
It'll be whatever your.
You'll have a choice from 3.
Yeah, it'll be whatever your current badge on the channel. So you're on gold, so it'll be a gold one. If you're on the wood tier, you'll get the wood one sent out.
They're gonna be cheap, so they're probably gonna be like £2 for like 1 or 2, and obviously George has to pay postage. He's gonna make them. I don't have any part in this. This is George's venture, and we can't promise that they're gonna be like the best quality, but George's gonna practice making them and stuff. And it's just a little souvenir. I can't imagine many people having these shed badges. If we ever blow up to like 100k, you can say that I've got a shed badge from when the shed had like 2k followers. I'm buying one right now. If you want to buy one, Alfie, go over to George's page and like donate like £2 or whatever it is to him, and he'll sort it out.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
And I have one for it. Sure. I bet Alfie's gonna be the only one that actually gets them. I should probably do like a video on it, shouldn't I?
Probably.
Really,
Yeah.
some people know.
Alfie, if you want to,
maybe it can be a secret thing.
do it in Discord, and I'll get you just
like,
good shit.
It might be a bit left over as well. George can like put it to getting some more badges on eBay and stuff, because I think they're like a £5 for like a bag of, I'm not how many.
I mean, when
it's only going to be a little.
Yeah, I got like 200.
We're not going to make
when I
like
first got it.
We're not going to make like 1,000. We're going to make like.
It'll be print to order as well, so it'll be like there won't be any wastage.
Because I'm going to be a Shedwoods thing soon. Yeah, the other badge we're talking about is actually the Shedwoods logo that's on Facebook. This is the one that I want George to use. George's face is probably on funny again, but I'll see if I've got a copy of it on my computer. I'm looking through all my random downloads now. So we got this red shed badge, and we have this shed badge, the Facebook logo. There's a couple of variations.
You want a custom one?
You prefer to use, George?
Custom ones will be a little bit more pricey.
I
You'll
don't
have to do the artwork for Amalfi, but sure.
I mean, we got this badge. I think this would convert quite well.
That's demonic.
Badge, in my opinion. That would work quite well on a badge, I think. Shrink it down. I've got one without the face in the background, a couple of different variants.
What do you mean by a blue shed badge, Alfie? Do you mean the one he's showing now? Or do you mean
Hey, Ethan.
Panda?
Hello, you legend. Hello, Ethan. It's been a long time since I've seen you around, bro. So, George, discuss the badges again, then. Let's let people know what you're working on. Just give me a second to get your face back on. So, if you guys want to order one of these, then just PayPal George. I'm going to be £2 for we'll say, how many are we going to do, George? 2, 3?
2 for 1, probably. That way,
Yeah,
like, printing
I'll
won't
probably-
cost. They're quite small, but, I mean, from, like, bigger places, you'd be ending, like, getting, like, £5 for one.
I'd say...
But because for me, it's
I'd
just
say
a trial thing, I don't mind doing a little bit cheaper.
I'll say £2 for 3 badges.
That's a little bit too cheap.
Bear in mind, guys, that price, he has to post them and stuff.
Yeah, postage will be the thing that is the most.
$2.50 for 3 badges. So if you want one, you can get this style here, which is the Shedwoods Facebook logo.
But it'll be round. They're only rounds.
Yeah, they'll be round, but we'll sort that. I'm basically going to send these to George. He's going to work on it for you guys. But George has some examples there, and they're not going to be the best quality.
I mean, this one's pretty shite, but like.
This is kind of the first iteration of Shedwoods merch. It's never existed before. I'm only doing it because George wants something to do.
Yeah, it's honestly because I am out of my mind with boredom.
I'm not taking any profits from it.
No.
If there's any like profits left over, it's just going to be George making more badges or putting it towards some more.
Yeah, well, it'll all go back into the channel, into the stream. Anything that's made.
Yeah, George can choose the price. I'm just thinking like try and make it cheap. I mean, if it's if it's posted to America, it's going to be a bit more.
Yeah,
but
the American.
I don't know. You guys will just have to let me know. It might be UK only, to be honest, guys.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think the Panda will fit better. These are just the trial ones. I've got to do way better ones, man. Don't worry about it. I've got the original art as well.
You'll have to let us know now.
Yeah, and I've got all the original art, so I can do a little bit of customs and stuff. But Oh yeah, they're fake.
Probably be like send George like whatever his costs
If you
are,
do it
and
on
he'll get
Discord.
them made. I mean, there's no other Shedwards merch currently available. I did design a hat, but I've not, I've not released it anywhere. So
The thing is, they're quite small, so they end up coming to. Here's like an old one that I did when the printer wasn't working. Hang on. So this is one that I made using stolen art. Like, it's quite small, but for like, it's not expensive.
yeah, I mean that's quite cheap. Like £2, £2.50 for like 3 badges is very cheap because you got to imagine George has to print more, do the designs, post
How
them.
the bloody hell do I make them?
He's got a badge make. I've seen one of those on eBay. I was going to buy one, but how do you actually use
It's
it?
a heckin' chonker, mate. You cut your things to a certain size, and then you get.
Also, they're like paper badges.
So you get
It's
given
like paper then.
you get like metal. So it's a button badge. So you get your metal goes in first, then your picture on top. Then there's like a clear plastic layer that goes on top of that. Then you press that down, and then you slide your thing across, and you get the back of it, and then you slams onto that, and then it.
Well, how much you want to charge from George?
I mean, £2
You
for
make
one.
me some, so
£2 for one's probably the best.
no, let's give people a better deal than that, George. I think like £2 for at least 2 is
2 for
fair.
2. 2 for 2. Yeah. Okay. And Abby wants a blown
So
up picture of your head.
I want 4 different designs. So I'll send you some money, and you can make me some first, so I can show them off, and we'll see what they're like. How about that?
That's fine. Oh yeah, it's nothing like the kid badge makers. Like, here, this is industrial in it. I got my finger stuck in it and it hurt. So, have I told you the story about me getting this? So when I first got it,
In fact, George, try and make me like 6 designs and post smaller.
so when I first got the maker, I was actually sent the wrong thing. I was sent an egg incubator. And because it was a Chinese company, they let me keep the egg incubator rather than giving me the refund.
You should try putting eggs in there and see if they hatch.
Oh no, I sold it. I sold it straight back. I was like, no, I'm selling this. Because it was cheap, like, because it was a Chinese company, it was cheaper for them to let me have it and get the refund than it was for them to send it back to them. So I kept that, made some money on that, and then went with a different company.
Maybe like 5, 6. I'll PayPal you £5 so you can pay for the postage and stuff, and then send them over to me, and then people can see what they're like.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, guys, I'm not making any profit out of this. I'll just pay £5 so I'm actually losing money if anything. But it's just something that George wants. It's a little cool thing that you guys can own, I guess.
Yeah,
I used to have a badge maker. You know what I could do? Maybe I could do some like hand signed business cards or something. Not business cards, but like that kind of template with Shedwards on it, and you guys can get like a little autograph. Not that anyone will want my autograph, but and send them over to George.
Mm-hmm.
They could put them in with badges.
Absolutely.
I used to have a badge maker. Well, there you go, George. I've sent you £5 anyway.
Thank you.
Do like 6 designs and send it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll show you guys what it looks like.
Well, I've got the original
And
like
you
panda
guys want
badges
them.
as well. Yeah, this is the only shed merch you'll see for the next like however many years.
Perfect them. There is going to be merch at 10k, and there is some merch I've designed, but I'm trying to get it like cheaper for you guys, and I want to take my time with it. I don't want to just release it. Like, something like this is just going to be like a one-off thing. If you own one in like 10 years, if we ever blow up, you imagine owning one of them. Like, if I don't know, one of the big YouTubers like KSI released a random thing when he was only like a year into YouTube, and you own it. Cool thing to have. Mango Loco badge. I'd love one of them.
See, I kind of want to
This is definitely my problem.
I kind of want to make like these size badges, but I do not have the dies for them or anything like that. But it's
How much the dies cost?
Quite expensive. They're like specific attachments to it, and it's a pain. Shed sticks? What do you mean, stickers?
Sticks. Well, I've sent George some money for mine anyway. If you want the same, just send George, like, we just said £2 for the 2 badges. So if you want 4 badges, if you want a set, That's nice.
Stickers are a tricky
Not
thing
really
to
been
do. You need maybe like a cricket, or you can do them by hand, but they're real tricky to do. Stickers, they're not worth it. It's easy just to put the templates on Redbubble and sell them directly up there, even if you get like 20p per sale. Like that's more. That's
Yeah, I bet Alf is already on George's channel trying to get himself some badges now.
he is. He
I
has
know
for
Alf is
customs.
like-
He has for customs.
But they're all custom, really, because I don't exist at the moment. It's just because George says, like, oh, you want me to make some badges? And they're not going to be, like, professional. They're going to be handmade, but they will look as professional as George can make them.
Yeah, they'll look.
But it's not like you're paying £10 a badge.
I mean, the reason these don't look great is because
It's
the
up to
printing
you.
quality was off when I first did these, but they'll just look like. The only reason these look weird is because they're not centered, and that just takes time to get used to.
Yeah, they're just additional things. I can make personalised stickers.
You need a
Should we
cricket.
send George a sticker and a autograph and put them in the packs? That's a cool little thing to do. As we say, guys, there's no plans for merch currently. This is like a
Alfie,
little...
chat to me in Discord about it. I'll sort it out.
But yeah, does anyone else have any other things that you want to discuss with us?
Anybody got
before
any
we go off? I mean,
news?
we've been going for
2 hours, not 2.5
we've been going
hours.
for a fair amount of time, just having a little ramble at the end. So yeah, there's a lot of as I said, there's a lot of different places you can watch my content. The content's never going to be the same thing. Like, I'm always changing. You know, 1 minute I could be doing a pack opening, 1 minute I could be looking at Doctor Who. Like, the way I am as a person, like, I have so many different interests, and 1 week I could be into Doctor Who figures, the next week I could be into DVDs, the next week I could be into Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always changing. 1 minute I could be into Minecraft, then I could be playing Fortnite. Like, I feel like that's how everyone is, but I don't only reflect that on YouTube. With my channel, I just like to do what I want. So
I mean, we're all artists. We could easily do custom stickers, but we need to have the equipment to do it.
that's another thing I've been thinking about, is doing more drawings and more artworks and stuff. So that might come to the channel eventually. I might look through my old art books and things like that. You know, anything could happen really with me as a creator. So that's the truth. It's like George, you know, he's always doing random crap.
Oh yeah, like none of it ever goes well, but I enjoy doing it. It's the process of making that I enjoy compared to the product that comes out. Like with these, I'll do them to the best I can. They'll be the right size and centered and stuff. But for, like, if I ever make something for myself, I don't care what it looks like.
Pop to the toilet, right, guys?
Well, we're just ending, mate. Might as well just end first.
I'll go for a wee first, George.
God damn it, I've got to babysit his chat.
I'm back.
What's happening, chat? How are you all doing? So I was looking at how to make stickers, and you can do it the way that Abby's saying, or you can. There's a machine called a cricket or cricket. I don't know how you say it, but if you can print onto sticker paper or vinyl, and then it cuts out like the image without cutting through the backing. And I feel like that is such a good investment compared to doing it by hand. But they're like 300 quid per. Hey man.
I just had a thought about the badges, George. You should try and get some like glossy photo paper. I don't know when you use glossy paper, but be useful.
They have they've got gloss on top.
Oh, that's good then.
Hang on,
My cat's just like,
I don't know where it is.
oh, George, I want to do that. No, I'm not on Discord. I'm not giving my set at the moment. Just stick paper, just put it on there. Could do. Ever since Abby, the cat always comes to my room now. It's so annoying. She came in yesterday looking for Abby, and Abby wasn't there, so she went back out.
So this is what you get I can't. No, they're like little drug baggies, and I can't open them with my clumsy thumbs. Work for me here.
Cat's joining the podcast again. Can you see the cat do it?
Yeah, I just saw the head pop up. So this is
I'm trying to do a podcast.
what goes on top, and creates like a hard plastic shell on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun thing to do because all you've got to do is cut it into a circle, and then you just slam that motherfucker down. You know?
No, because I'd love to, Alfie, but you know, with all the stuff going on, I don't have time. But I will be doing more drawings just when I get time.
Alfie, you do realise the person who designed the pandas that you're looking at in chat was me, right? I did all the chat pandas.
Yeah, you could make some, maybe.
Like, if you want exactly the same as Shedwoods, I can just copy the backing.
If I designed them, they would actually look better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like, at the size that they are, there's no point putting a huge amount of time into them.
To do animation. I can do it good on Illustrator, but I spend hours doing it.
Yeah, whereas that took me like 10 minutes to do, and because it's the size, like,
that makes sense. You know,
if you message me on Discord, I'll get back to you about it, man. Don't worry about it.
Alfie, did you comment on the Premier League pack openings on TikTok? Because I started doing them, as I said earlier. So comment what players you want me to get, and I'll open some packs for you.
Right, we're going to end the podcast here because I'm hungry.
It's funny how George ends it this time because I normally end it, and George is like, "Oh, I gotta call a stop to it now." We'll be back tomorrow, guys. Hopefully with some more Fortnite. Depends what I've got going on, but definitely we should have a stream. You know, possibly tomorrow, if not the next day, depending on how much work I got to do. But we'll try and get it out for you.
I mean, it'll be like
kind of miss the Fortnite.
Yeah, it won't be.
Take a break though once in a while.
Yeah, the break's always important. It really like makes doing content
Man City packs. What do you mean?
Easable.
No Man City packs, Alfie. But yeah, guys, we're gonna wrap up, so we'll catch you tomorrow. If you have watched the whole podcast,
leave a like and comment.
You know, you're
stick a thumbs up in the comment, or a panda or something.
But yeah, we'll catch you tomorrow. With me and George, you know, gotta go to sleep soon.
Dude, I woke up at 4 p.m. today. I am a disaster of a human being.
So I'll be staying awake. I have some other stuff to do anyway. But I hope you guys all have a great day or night wherever you're from, and we'll catch you in the next one next week. I don't know what next week's subject's going to be. Probably
We'll decide at some point.
I don't know. I'll think about it.
Bye.